on Game Awards.
Game Awards.
Are they even real at this point? I feel like every year it becomes a meme.
I thought the Game Awards were the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the One Piece will eventually be. It's friendship, right?
No.
Said it wouldn't be that, but
Eldaz clarified that it won't be that.
I mean, we'll see when we get there.
But we'll see.
With the Game Awards, there's a lot to talk about with gaming. Like, we started this year, we had regular game talks specific because there's so much to talk about with gaming. And the Game Awards are no different. By the time you guys are watching this, it should probably only be a few days away.
Yeah. This should come out Saturday if everything goes according to plan, because I don't trust YouTube to actually do things the right way. But hopefully Saturday. As soon as we're done recording this, I'm going to throw through the Visualizer app. But anyway, there's a lot of discourse around the Game Awards. There's a lot of, like, why are these things happening the way they are? I think Jeff Keighley has lost his goddamn mind when there's a $1 billion company up for the indie game.
Yeah, and when we get to the indie game category, we'll probably go into that. But I think before I did want to talk about how they're like talking about increasing the security, because there's always someone getting to the front stage of these events and just disrupting it.
Even if they did do that, there's someone who's bound to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the no moshing rule at a metal show. There's always going to be moshing, right? It becomes a challenge at that point.
The more you try to go ahead, Ty.
Honestly, if this year someone starts streaking on the stage of the Game Awards, this will be the best year for the Game Awards. Hands down.
No, you know what's gonna happen, Tyler? Somebody's gonna get on that stage and play the South Park clip. Oh my God, here it comes! Global warming! Because you've seen like the clips on of everyone around the world just being like, the world's burning because it's hot on record in all these events.
God, I don't know what'll happen, but something always happens. Like, originally we had the fuck the Oscars guy.
Yeah, I do respect that man.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he went full crazy, and then this next game that he put out, it was like he had just snorted a line of cocaine in the bathroom before he did that.
I mean, it's not really that surprising, but hey, he stuck to his vision.
He did. But then like last year we had the Bill Clinton kid. Which was
and this year, I mean, there's no way to even take bets on this. It could be anything.
How about?
And I think you said it yourself, Vex. Like, it's hard to say if like some of these are probably just not staged.
Oh, absolutely.
The
virality itself.
The one thing that I definitely want to question about these Game Awards is why are the same 6 or 7 games being voted in every single category?
Yeah, that's a lot of my issues.
I mean, yeah, that's always been a thing, but I think it's especially apparent this year because there's like so many games that could have just been nominated in like any one of these categories, some of which didn't show up in any of them. So the fact that like we're seeing repetition is concerning.
Yeah, that's my main issue here because all I'm seeing for like best narrative, best direction, best game of the year, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man
that's
2.
the one I agree with. Baldur's Gate 3
Orange
deserves everything.
is the one I agree with.
No, okay, we can have this debate. We can have this debate in a bit. But let me say my piece. It's like, okay, yeah, they're good games. Despite the fact I'll never get Baldur's Gate 3 because of the amount of gigabytes it takes up.
What? It's not the fact that you can fuck a bear.
But it's just like seeing these all the time, like Mario's Wonder, Zelda, just seeing them over and over again. Alan Wake 2. I mean, can somebody explain to me what Alan Wake even is?
An acid trip.
I mean, yeah, Vex has, I think, played Alan Wake. But I'm also a little surprised with how much Alan Wake was here, just because it only recently came out. Like, Spider-Man I get, because that was, like, hyped up for a while. And it's literally just more Spider-Man. I mean,
Yeah.
what more do you want?
Yeah. Actually, can we have a Silk standalone game now? I think there enough times passed. Like Silk appears in the post credits. The girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I feel like since now Miles Morales is supposed to be the Spider-Man, we'll have a Silk standalone game like we had the Miles standalone between. But like the DLC will probably revolve around the Cletus Cassidy stuff that happened. We'll probably have some more of Yuri's stuff. It'll be an interesting cycle for this once we start getting into the DLC and the what'll likely be the $40 standalone expansion. But like there is a lot to be said of the fact that Alan Wake 2 was nominated, and it just came out like 2 months ago. Like it was a Halloween drop, and it's fucking nominated for like 5 categories, I believe.
Yeah, in my opinion, it has to be out for at least 8 months before being able to be nominated.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Okay,
not.
no, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, 6 months. Would you say 6 months? Maybe 5 months, but not 2 months.
5 months is fair. Like that gives you a giant pool of content. I want a meme game of the year though.
I mean, I feel like that's almost what Player's Choice is, but
I don't see King Kong in there. I don't see Walking Dead Destinies in.
Okay, I see what you mean. No, I got it. But I also don't know if that's something like the judges, whoever evaluates these categories, would be really the ones deterring for that.
But make it for video games, okay?
Yeah. So like,
but I do think though, like, there are games that kind of just barely get in. So I still think you would need like a couple of weeks. I feel like saying 5 months. Because it's like 5 months would be like what? The middle of the year?
Yeah.
Like there are games that come out like near the holiday season. So you have to include those like big tits. So no, I don't think it's that. I mean, it is weird to have like games that just came out be there, but they're also, it just so happens the Game Awards comes out when the holiday sales come out, which is when publishers release all their titles. I mean, this is slightly off topic, but like Sega made a press release saying, we're surprised our new Sonic game didn't sell as much on release. And it's like, it came out with Spider-Man and Mario. What'd you think would happen?
Right. It came out with Spider-Man and
Mario. It still sold well, but there was no way it was going to compete with either of those titles.
But I think they moved to avoid Final Fantasy, didn't they? Or was that just DLC?
No. This one was not with like Final Fantasy. No, I think of something else.
Oh, okay. There's been so many goddamn releases this year. Like, it's hard to keep track of them all. Like, even with the help of Opera GX, not sponsored, Opera GX, like their little game radar.
But if you did want to sponsor us, I'm just saying, I'm using the browser as we speak.
Same. Because fuck Chrome at this point.
Really.
But like that game tracker, like when we're doing these game discussions, really comes in clutch because I tend to forget like certain things were coming out. Like I think last time I talked about the fucking VR Assassin's Creed was coming out. I'm like, even as an Assassin's Creed fan, I didn't even realize that was coming out this year. And so like with how many releases we had and how many good releases, the fact that we're still having discourse, and this is also off topic, about like what is good gaming in 2023, and the people that are having this discourse only play the annual releases, it surprises me. We had possibly the best year in this gaming industry.
Good gaming involves having to have realistic graphics to the point that you might as well just have actors there doing being the characters.
See, I feel like in games like Baldur's Gate 3, that would be problematic, Luke.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's the one exception, Fex, but they're just getting so realistic at this point. It's like, why not just use real actors?
But how would that work in the sense of gaming when like 85,000 people at any given time are playing Call of Duty number 99?
I don't know. I don't know. Just stop making the graphics so high tech that it's like, okay,
Absolutely
okay.
not. I love my immersion. I love that it feels like I'm in a new world every time I boot up a game. But at the same time, I respect the indie stuff too. Like, and that's like a lot of the discourse I'm seeing right now on, especially surrounding the Game Awards. So I think we should just start with the indie gem here. I'm sorry to get into this one so soon, but best independent game, Coon.
Okay.
Dave
I guess
the
we're
Diver.
going right into the category.
Yeah.
I did just want to slip in that I think in previous discussions I've mentioned that having some more like mid-tier games in terms of like budget would probably be just smart to do, like what Square's doing and are for some reason hesitant to do more of. But at the same time, I respect that we need at least a few games that are like AAA and look beautiful, but I think we need to get away from the mentality that everyone needs to do that
Oh,
because it's just going to
absolutely.
sink your studios if
Yeah,
you just
but-
keep trying and failing.
Plus as well, it's only gonna take. It's not gonna be long before there's a game that's so powerful it burns out hard drives within weeks.
I mean, I'm pretty sure those probably just exist. You just need like the really
That's
bad
2
hardware.
Warzone updates, Luke. That's 2 fucking Warzone updates. Call of Duty,
But
like literally, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, because it got gifted to me, takes up 586 fucking gigabytes. By the way.
No. I
Anyway.
mean that. No, I mean like the game. This is what I was getting at before. Like the game, when you run it, it's so hot to run that it burns out the hard drive, not the space on the hard drive. It just burns out the hard drive.
Well, it wouldn't technically burn out the hard drive, but I get what you're getting at. Like, it would just overheat your computer. That was
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah.
like Cyberpunk actually, like when it first dropped. And this is why I upgraded my computer. Like it actually overheated my computer one. Wow, I'm like, holy shit.
yeah, I've heard a lot of reports about that. But anyway, going back to the category of independent, like I heard, yeah, Cocoon was good, and I think it won some other set of game awards for itself. So I have to try it for sure. But what I voted for was Sea of Stars.
Same.
Yeah,
Oh,
I am very interested in it because I've not heard of any of these titles, but Sea of Stars, looking at it just from the picture itself, I'm very interested in it.
it's fun. Cocoon is
Yeah,
by the
it's a
team-
game I'm glad is doing well because it definitely deserves it.
Cocoon was by the team that made Limbo and Inside. So if you like those games, you'll
Very talented team.
um
And I, of course, the big debate with the independent category, which I guess we'll get into now, is Dave the Diver.
it was a fun game. Like, I played it with a friend, but like it's also funded by Nexon, which is essentially like a version of Tencent, right? They have
Yeah.
a giant stake in the
Nexon's a big company, and they, I mean, not their games may not always be like AAA pretty, but they are worth a lot of money. And that's kind of where the controversy came from, because it feels like they nominated this game because it was a good game that looked like an indie game, which I think kind of defeats the purpose of the category to an extent. Because if an indie developer like made something that looked AAA, it should still be in this category as well as other categories. But if a AAA studio, and I'm not saying AAA studios shouldn't do this. In fact, that's what I was getting at earlier, that they very much should consider making lower scale games. But if a AAA studio makes a game like this, they probably shouldn't be competing at the same level. Because they have the funds, the resources, the manpower to like make something like this and polish it up to a crazy extent. So it's not that, those games aren't good, but it's just not as necessarily impressive, I guess, because it's like, yeah, of course you guys can do this. You have the people and team to do these things. But when an indie studio comes in and does stuff like, it's like, okay, there's a new group of developers we can get behind, look at what they can make, what future projects and how the industry will be shaped by them. But yeah.
So the reason I picked this one to start off with is I think Jeff Keighley has the most god-awfully atrocious take here, where he was in an interview And he said independent can mean different things to different people. And now it seems like the Game Awards is treating indie as an aesthetic, right? Like, you can slap a pretty coat of paint and make it look like it costs $25 in your grandma's basement to make, and they'll still throw it up there as an indie award. And that's not the case. Like, there are games that were made by one person and a fucking shitty laptop they got from a Goodwill, right? That's indie, not somebody that has billions of dollars to just make it look like it.
Because by his logic, him saying that somebody could literally make Spider-Man 2 into an indie game.
I mean, yes and no.
Might as well
if they really wanted to, if they wanted to like downplay everything and all of that, like they could really make that.
There's a game that's coming out that has like the same like mobility. I forget the name of it. Party James, you probably saw it on TikTok because I've seen it like on my FYP a bunch.
I might be. I don't use TikTok as much anymore. But wait, what's the game? Like, what does it do?
It basically has the mobility. It's like an art poppy, almost like a Jet Set Radio style art style, but has the mobility of Spider-Man. I forget the name of it.
But yeah,
I think I've seen it, but yeah, I don't know the name.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say.
I mean, Hi-Fi Rush is already out. I don't think it's that one.
No, it's not that one. Hi-Fi Rush. I'm glad it's getting some praise though.
Oh yeah, that's one I'm actually really glad the Game Awards gave a good amount to, because I was thought it would just get one category at best, but it got a couple, and I voted for I think almost every time it.
I voted for it a couple times too. But there's like at this point, like if they wanted to, like Activision's like mobile studio could throw artsy like pop on it and make a Call of Duty, and it would get thrown up with the fucking indie, and that's why this category in particular is such a like discourse right now. And like I understand that to the vast majority of the public, like if it's cute and artsy, it's probably an indie game, but that's not always the case. So it's like the Game Awards are becoming the thing that they were setting out to be different from, right? They were originally made to be like a differentiation from the like traditional awards and like the Oscars and all this shit. That's why the fuck the Oscars guy was so funny. But now it's just basically corporate branding. It's like a 2.5, 3 hour like advertisement, essentially. And there's nothing wrong with that in particular. To me, it's just more like it's losing the soul that made it so unique. But I guess at the end of the day, he's got to keep the lights on for the award show. He's got to do all these, things to, keep having it.
I don't even really mind the advertising, to be honest, but because everything has ads.
Yeah.
It's just how capitalism works. But at the same time, I think what matters here is the fact that if this awards show, for better or worse, probably worse, is kind of setting a little bit of a standard in terms of okay, this is how people especially outside of normal or the hardcore gaming audience who pays attention to everything to the games, this is how a broader audience would know. It's okay, what games came out this year? And what kind of things can I look forward to buying that I may have missed or that gone under the radar? And I feel like this, not to say that Dave the Diver shouldn't be nominated for anything, but it kind of could, if we let games that don't fully fit the category enter the category, it takes up spots that could have gone to games that would have been worth putting up on other people's radars. And especially because, as Luke was starting out our discussion with saying, there's so much repetition that we could definitely use some different games in these categories.
And to play devil's advocate, I'd have the same argument if Hi-Fi Rush was nominated, because it is still technically backed by a big studio,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm in agreement with that. I would not have voted for Hi-Fi Rush in this category if it was here.
Right.
I'm just gonna say, looking at the trailer for for some of these games, like particularly Sea of Stars. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try it out. It looks very interesting. But the one I'm pretty much fascinated on is Viewfinder.
I have not played that.
Yeah, it's not my type of game, but yeah, it's definitely for if you like that type of stuff, it's good.
It's kind of like it's kind of in the same vein as Power Wash Simulator effects, and except without the Power Wash. But it's basically like from what I'm looking here, it's like a challenge perspective. It's basically like, okay, if you took the Reality Stone from Marvel, but it was a Power Wash Simulator style game.
I'll take a look at
I
it. After
don't
the video.
what?
I
I think it's like a puzzle game.
Yeah, but
I don't
but
know.
I'm looking here. Challenge perspective, redefine reality, and reshape the world around you with an instant camera. So that's why I was like, okay, it's like if you took the Reality Stone but made it a Power Wash Simulator style game.
See, I'm not a big
but,
puzzle game kind of person. Like, I don't even really care for Portal. I know that's a terrible take on the internet, but those types of games.
You'll get crucified.
Yeah. Like just type it into Steam Facts and look at it, and
Okay.
you'll get the idea.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing it relates to Power Wash is just being first person.
Yeah, but
I'm not
Power
sure
Wash
what
is, like I said, is like more is like a is like
$30
a-
fucking dollars. Jesus Christ.
it's like a it's like a challenge style game, and this is like a challenge style game in of itself as well.
Okay,
I,
but yeah,
It's-
Tyler, did you have anything to say here?
On the indie games,
Yeah.
not really. I can't really say I've played a lot of these games.
okay, it's cute.
I mean, to be clear, I haven't like gotten Sea of Stars myself, but it's been on my radar for a while, and I've seen like reviews and stuff for it. Because it's been a busy year for games, but I had to vote for Sea of
It
Stars
has
just
been.
because it looked the best.
Yeah, it's
What were
cutesy
you
as
saying,
hell,
Fact?
But like, it's not my cup of tea. But I
Okay, fair enough.
I definitely could.
Yeah,
see
I'm the
appeal
same
to it.
way. Like, I can respect what it is, but it's not
absolutely.
something I would play.
Absolutely. Now if they make a Finboy Aim Trainer 3, I'll definitely buy that.
Or if they make a sequel to a particular game that you were playing, where I was like, what the hell am I looking at right now? You know the one, Vex.
Okay, so
No.
moving on.
No. Not saying the name of that game on this, so I get instantly fucking educated.
Yeah, but
that's why I'm trying to move the category so we. Okay, so anyway, if we don't have a particular order and you're just kind of jumping around, I think another one we can knock out pretty easily because I don't think either Luke or Tyler are big mobile gamers. So
Nope.
for best mobile game, I was kind of hoping that Nikkei would be nominated here because I don't think it got in last year, which I think was after the deadline. It's just past its 1 year anniversary. So I figured it was just past deadline, but it didn't show up. So what I did end up voting for is just Honkai Star Rail, which if you guys have been in any of our other streams that Vex has done, he's streamed Honkai a couple times over on Twitch.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a solid game. I'll probably be getting back into it soon myself, maybe. But it's just like it's basically just like an RPG, like on a mobile device, effectively.
Oh yeah. So,
And
let me pull this up so I can see all the
all right.
things.
Before, all right. In that case, I'll say my 2 cents. The only mobile game at the moment that I'm hoping to play, you know what it is, Party Jams.
is it the Dr. Stone one? Because I've been playing that one.
It's not in England. It's not here.
Oh, right. It's North America. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about today's not sponsor, ExpressVPN.
What?
It's like we didn't go to.
Today's not sponsor. I'm joking. Basically to be like an ExpressVPN ad read here, but like Luke, literally just use a VPN. That's how I played the fucking Black Clover mobile game.
No,
before.
I don't want to have to use a VPN to play a game or watch a show. I shouldn't have to go through the extra mile to play or watch something that legally I should be allowed to.
I don't disagree.
You realize you can get you can get more mileage out of a VPN than just playing a game, right? Like,
technical anonymity online. You can,
Yeah.
view like.
I mean, again, not sponsored by Opera, but I do like how it's a built-in VP.
I know, but I shouldn't have to go through that extra mile.
I don't disagree with you. The like.
I agree.
It's like with the whole thing of like, Manga Plus is like, we're gonna release every single thing that's being released now in simulpub. No, you're not.
Yeah, but at the same time, Luke, like you gotta have a little bit of that built-in like anonymity online with the VPN.
I know,
you also
I know.
gotta deal with the fact that no matter what zone or country you're in, you gotta have to deal with the rights to certain shows and
I know.
series, and it's stupid.
I know, but still, region blocking, in my opinion, sucks.
Absolutely. Like region
It
locking
sucks,
is
but
a
it's also
dumb
weird
thing.
that the Dr. Stone app came out like 2 years after.
I
launch.
know, but
Right.
I just want to say one thing quickly before we move on. Like, we didn't get going to England in the Dr. Stone manga, and England's not getting a Dr. Stone mobile game. What? Why was I so far?
I mean, you can still
It
play.
might at this point.
You can still play the game that we all voted for here, and one of my personal favorite games, Honkai Star Rail.
As long as it's not Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah.
Raid Shadow Legends came out like fucking ages ago, dude.
I know. I just wanted to diss on Raid Shadow Legends.
That's fair. And I mean, the fact that like Genshin is still in like the player's choice is so stupid. It's been like out for 5 years. Anyway, but yeah, by the same people, Honkai Star Rail. Yeah, it's a pretty fun game, so I gave it my vote. I think of the other games here, there's the Hello Kitty one, which I actually might try because I'm an Apple Arcade user. We had a discussion podcast on that as well.
I think that's
and
kind
this
of
recently
an
came out.
interesting one. Yeah, that came out like
I would give it a try.
2-3 months ago as well. It's a strange one to actually pop up. Because there's like so many of these are more recent. Like Ever Crisis even is like it came out while I was touring. Like I downloaded it, not even a month or two ago. So it kind of begs the question, like, how many of these are like paid to be on the slot as well?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we have like also Monster Hunter now, which I didn't know was a thing, but that's because it very recently also came out. Because like Capcom needs more money. Terra Nil's the only one here that's like, yeah, that's been one I've heard like other people like talk about regularly, and like it's a pretty good game for what it is. Not really my kind of thing, but I respect the fact that it's on this list. But yeah, like a lot of these like mobile titles have like a lot of big companies and IPs behind them, so it's kind of nice to have like one that's just like, here's one just like a cute game about rebuilding the environment. Having said that, we're still voting for like the one that's probably going to win.
Yeah,
I really don't see HSR losing this.
Oh, absolutely not. I do wish the 50-50 was a little bit more fair, because I E6 a fucking serval on this banner alone. I have not pulled a single other fucking character.
Welcome to Gacha Games. You never get what you want. I mean, I'm literally playing Nikke right now, and like I didn't get my banner character, but I didn't try that hard this time because I tried so hard for the last one.
I sank $100.
This is why I've sworn off games like that.
I sank $100 fucking.
I mean, fair. It's very smart. And that's also why I had that game discussion with Apple Arcade, because I respect the fact that they're trying to make some mobile games where it's like, hey, no in-app purchases or any like hidden fees. It's literally just a subscription, basically just Game Pass, but for your phone.
Yeah, I like that. Not enough to actually buy an iPhone though.
Oh yeah, and I don't blame you. Like these things cost too much money. That's why I'm still like, the only reason I have them is just because I'm still on my parents' like phone plan, so they just get iPhones.
I'm the phone plan in my family, so.
Well, that's nice. You get to dictate things.
Everybody gets a Samsung, because it's so much easier for me to deal with. That being said, I did get gifted a fucking Apple gift card, so I'm buying some AirPods for when we record on the road.
Oh, nice. Um, yeah, so let's see. What category should we go for next?
Let's
I think
do-
Tyler wanted to do best adaptation.
Yeah, let's do adaptation.
All right, go for it, Tyler.
For best adaptation, we got hold on, let me pull up
We've got Castlevania, Nocturne, Gran
Turismo.
Turismo, The Last of Us, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and Twisted Metal.
Did anybody watch
Honestly,
the Metal show?
I've heard a lot of good things about The Last of Us.
Yeah, same. I haven't seen it, but apparently it's really good. And all they had to do is follow the source material.
Well, isn't the source material? Can I just say something? Isn't the source material of itself kind of like a movie?
I mean, yeah, that's why it was easy to adapt as long as you don't fuck it up.
Yeah,
I never even knew they freaking made a Twisted Metal movie, and they got.
I didn't know
about
that.
Gran Turismo.
I knew about Gran Turismo because I just saw an advert from one of the recent films that I saw. I think it was actually Five Nights at Freddy's.
Actually, yeah, that's one nominee I was
forward at
surprised
the
not to
Mario
see
movie.
here.
that might have been
because
after
that
the
movie is
cutoff
selling
time.
crazy.
To be fair, Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie, it's gone very mixed reviews.
Well,
So-
yeah, but I mean, like, how many people have like heard of again, not to like make fun of these series because I've heard all these are good in their own rights, but like Twisted Metal, Gran Turismo, I think are much lesser known than these other entries. And like I personally voted for Castlevania for this one.
Same.
There's another individual in our server who didn't really like it, and I respect that some people it didn't really work for them. But I mean, for me, this is one of those series where it's like, hey, this is a great series as long as the people on the internet aren't telling you it's bad. Because it's really just a solid series.
There's people of color in it this time. Party Jams. Why? Why are there people of color in my Vampire Twink show? That's literally the biggest discourse I saw on Twitter. I'm like, think that people of color didn't exist in the 1400s?
Yeah, it's apparently that's what people think.
You realize that
it's
Jesus
really weird.
is a person of color, right? It's not the whitewashed person you see on the crucifix.
I can confirm that as a Christian. And anyway, but I did think the Mario movie was also pretty good. I had a good time seeing that with my friends. That was like one of the few times we actually all got to meet up after not seeing each other for a while and have an experience together. But I did think in and of itself, it's extremely basic as like a story, and
But
I
it's
appreciate
also
the
a
animation,
Mario.
but it's really it's good for what it is, but it's not like spectacular like
That's
Castlevania or I would assume The Last of Us because I've heard that's pretty good.
So I watched all of these except for Gran Turismo because I don't give a fuck about racing. So like I used to play Forza a lot because I like designing the cars in there because I used to be like a junkie for cars and shit. But like, you know, you grow up. But like Castlevania was the one I voted for. The Last of Us, like literally, they just have to follow the script for one, and then I guess reboot it every 4 years, or remake it every 4
probably.
years. The Super Mario Brothers, yeah, it was just a basic Mario. But with like a lot of, if you were a big Nintendo fan, there were a lot of like little Easter egg nods to things. Like you saw like Kid Icarus in there. You saw like a Jumpman bit in there. There was like Donkey Kong, obviously, Mario Kart references, all this shit that was going on. Twisted Metal, I loved because I love the Twisted Metal franchise. It was goofy. It was stupid. I loved there's a scene where Sweet Tooth sticks a grenade in a dude's mouth. You just watch him maniacally laugh as he's driving off onto the space. It's just like funny gore, haha. It's Twisted Metal. Like if you loved it, you would find it funny. Also Anthony Mackie, our new Captain America, was phenomenal in it. I do wish there was a little bit more of the over the top like mech action you got in the reboot of the Twisted Metal game that David Jaffe did. But like, I don't know how many people played. I think it was like the 2012 reboot of Twisted Metal. Probably none of you guys. Right?
I've seen it, but I haven't played it. No.
So it was stupid as shit, but it was so much fun. I should find a way to stream it, because that was legitimately some of the most fun I had on a PS3 back in the day. But like you, I want more Castlevania forever and always. This series is so much fun, and there's so much source material for them to adapt.
Yeah, they've been doing a good job with it too. Having said that, I feel like Mario's probably going to win this
Oh,
category.
absolutely.
Yeah,
With indie, I
absolutely.
can't tell, but I feel like Mario.
Absolutely, but if it's not the Mario movie, it's going to be either The Last of Us or Castlevania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the three that
And
are
I
in
feel
there.
like even then, Last of Us might actually have an edge because I've heard more people talking about it. I think,
Yeah.
well, in a positive sense, I should say, because I think with Castlevania, it was like still controversial for really dumb reasons, but still.
I think,
Everything on the internet is controversial for dumb reasons now. It's like,
It's a good point.
I think like The Last of Us does have like a little bit of the edge because it's got Daddy Pascal in it. And I could watch that man just read a nighttime story, and I would, pay money to see it. I think I'm probably alone in that, though.
Probably. But yeah, I think that's this category. What do you guys want to go with next?
Let's talk RPG, because that's another contentious.
Ooh, yeah, it's a good one, actually. I didn't cast my vote for this one just yet, but that's mostly because the entry that I wanted to vote for isn't here or anywhere in the Game Awards.
which is what?
Which is Octopath Traveler 2, which was like one of my top contenders for Game of the Year this year. Now, I'm a huge Team Asano fan, so I mean, and the weird thing is, like, the Game Awards, I'm pretty sure, announces a lot of their releases. I think they did Bravely Default as well as Triangle Strategy. So I have no idea why the games never actually end up on these lists. But yeah, Octopath Traveler 2, I thought, okay, it might be in the music category because the soundtrack is amazing. It might be in the art direction just because the HD 2D just looks so beautiful. But at the very least, I expected it in the RPG category. Instead, we have...
Yeah, go ahead.
I get that this year is like packed. And I will say, before like completely ranting, is just the fact that like a lot of these are good games. Like everything nominated here is a solid like
debatable with one of these.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that when we get there. But a lot of these are well recognized as like some of the best games we got this year. So I don't say they shouldn't be here, but I also say some of these are not necessarily RPGs. Like I'm not sure if Lies of Peace is really an RPG. And I like Sea of Stars, but I'm not sure if I would put it over Octopath. And the other ones, at least, I mean, Starfield needs something. I don't know.
No,
if
it
this was
doesn't.
it, but
No, it
maybe
doesn't.
this
No,
was
it doesn't.
Okay, facts.
Okay,
You can
go
say
ahead.
your piece.
So I feel like there should be two separate categories for RPG here, and this is I linked to TikTok in the gaming chat that I agree with. Like, there's mixing JRPGs or tactical RPGs and action RPGs is dumb as shit to me.
I would agree, but it's like, how much more stratified can we go with these?
Like, get rid of all the
Go ahead.
esports shit. Get rid of all of that. And then fucking make actual genre categories. Like, action game. You have action and action adventure in there. Two separate categories that were both really stacked. You have, like, action RPGs like Final Fantasy 16 and Lies of P and Starfield in here mixed with, like, tactical / JRPGs like Sea of Stars and Baldur's Gate 3. It makes the playing field unfair for a lot of these titles because nothing is going to beat Baldur's Gate in this category or half of these categories. Yeah. So it's really unfair to these other phenomenal games except for Starfield. I say that as a Bethesda fan. I say that as somebody who used to contribute to the modding community. I fucking love Bethesda Game Studios, but Starfield is its first franchise in 10 years. And it released in a broken state worse than Skyrim. Like, I enjoyed the hell out of what it was, but like I got soft locked in my starting zone. I'm not fucking kidding. Like, the first time I booted this game up, I got soft locked in the mine that you start the game in. So I had to replay the entire fucking prologue of this game. I had never had that in a Bethesda game. This was buggier than anything they've ever released, and they've been working on this for a decade. This game, I figure, can have like a comeback to a degree of Cyberpunk, but it's going to fall on because Bethesda realizes that they have a cult fan base like myself, that will buy/play anything that they make, that it falls to the modding community. And that's the issue I have with Bethesda nowadays. It's like everything ends up falling on the shoulders of the modding community. And like, there is so much stupid shit that was easily avoidable with this game. And I thought like they would have learned after the discourse of like the building in Fallout 4, for example. Like, there's an entire base building mechanic in this. It's fun, but I don't want to play Factorio in my space vigilante sim where I get to go around being basically Han Solo. You know, that's what I was doing, is like I was playing like a smuggler / you know, a scoundrel. Which, you know, I guess there's games like Old Republic, as Luke would say, that you can class as that. But it being this gigantic mess, I should have expected it, but at the same time, like, it's unacceptable for a decade's worth of work to be released in the state it was released in. And I wasn't the only one that had like major issues with it. Like, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of takes online of like people just like falling through like the void of space. There were glitches that I totally didn't exploit to get like infinite resources, not at all. Because you could loot like the vendor chest, because it's like the inventory was like underneath like the starting zone of every planet, and so people would find ways to glitch.
I mean, at that point, is it a bug or a feature?
But that's 99% of Bethesda, though. Like, I refer anybody bitching and moaning about me having a take on Bethesda like this as a fan to the Chalk Tier song, "It Just Works." Because that is the motto for Bethesda. It just works. I loved what it was, though. Like, it was a fun space sim. I got more enjoyment out of it than I did launch of fucking No Man's Sky, right? And I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. Like, I love my dumb Star Wars. I love my dumb Star Trek. I love my dumb, like, Stargate. I love these kinds of franchise. I enjoyed the hell out of, like, all of the space simulation of stuff like Mass Effect. That's one of my favorite franchises. I'm looking forward to whatever gets released from the new Mass Effect. Whether it continues Andromeda's storyline, if it continues Shepard's storyline, even though I feel like bringing Shepard back in any capacity would devalue the end of Mass Effect 3, even though I know that's a hugely point on the internet as well. But I expected more out of this game.
I'm in agreement with that. Shepard's storyline should just be kind of over. We can't just keep going to that well every time.
There's a line for him to be a legacy for the new generation, right? That's what I feel like.
Right,
did
but
well. I
also don't think it should be like the.
It shouldn't Star Wars itself, you know, like everything falling back to the Skywalkers, right? That's what I'm afraid.
Backbone anymore.
But like, my vote went for Baldur's Gate 3. I enjoyed Final Fantasy 16. I think I'm the only one here that played that as well, right?
Probably. I just don't have a PlayStation 5, so it's like, what am I going to do? Actually, that would be my rant for that, just because it's like, I've heard people get mad about exclusives, but nobody's getting mad that Sony's just like cornering all the Final Fantasies.
Yeah.
I am.
And I get that they helped develop it, but it's like annoying for me.
Like, I'm glad they released like the remakes of 7 on Steam, because like,
yeah,
I
got those once. Well, I got gifted, but whatever. I ended up getting them once they came on, but it's like I just was not part of like any of that hype, just because Sony was like, "Nah, this is just our franchise." Like now.
Yeah. So my biggest issue was 16. it was like 20 hours of gameplay and 60 hours of cutscenes. I'm exaggerating very
I mean,
little on
that's
that.
just kind of like a modern game thing.
No, you don't understand. Like, it's
You're right, I
really-
don't understand it.
It's really bad. Like, you would have 10 minutes of gameplay and then a fucking hour-long cutscene, basically. It was that bad.
Okay.
Like, and I get what they were going for in the cinematic storytelling style, but at that point, make a fucking movie. That's my issue with Metal Gear. That's my issue with Final Fantasy 16.
I mean, I've heard that take for other games, but yeah, this, I mean, it does sound pretty bad, but I think I've never been that really bothered with cutscenes. But I can understand, like, with a JRPG, like, even if it is story based, at some point you want to start playing the game, right?
Right. I loved the kaiju battles in there, though. Like, that was my favorite part, where I just got to be, like, Ifrit and everything. It was just like, I'm going around beating the shit out of other people. I'm like, okay, this is fun. Now, just give me another goddamn Godzilla game that doesn't cost $400 now. That's what I wanted.
That would be nice. I mean, Godzilla's in a good place, too, but that's a whole other podcast for us.
Yeah. So,
Because on the day of recording, Godzilla -1 just came out in the U.S.
I'm
probably
going
to watch
to
it this
see
week.
that this Sunday, actually. So, that'll be fun.
I haven't figured out when exactly. Still working on that. Because, like, I would have gone to see it, like, today or tomorrow, but they only have, like, evening show times, and I don't know if that'll work out for me. So, maybe this weekend.
But Baldur's Gate 3 got
Anyway.
my vote. Just because there's so much to do in that game. It is so much fun. I feel like it's possibly my game of the decade right now. Because...
Which is crazy considering we've got 7 years left.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I said so far. Like, I had a lot of enjoyment out of Spider-Man 2 as well, but I'm also a huge Spider-Man nerd. I love the Final Fantasy franchise. I feel like when the next 7 portion comes out, because we're piecemealing this fucking game together, it'll be up there as well, because we'll get to, like, diverge from the original story even more. But I'm sure Ann Arbor would vote for Liza P because he likes beating his head against the wall with a Souls-like.
Yeah, I don't get it, but I respect people who enjoy it.
Like, I love the fact that we're getting, like, Twisted Fairy Tales again, since we're not going to get the Alice Asylum, because EA told American McGee to fuck off. So he's just like, I'm done with video games at this point, which I respect. He's probably making more money making those cute little plushies on Twitter. But, like, I love Twisted Fairy Tales. I love the Grimms, so, like, the fact that Liza P is doing so good is great for that kind of story again. Sea of Stars looks fucking beautiful, but, you know, Baldur's Gate, that's my brain rot right now.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like I was saying, like, so, these games are all solid. Though a few of them, and maybe adding more RPG categories would just allow games to shine. I feel like the other reason Octopath isn't here is because it's a game that came out early this year. We were just talking about how, like, a lot of games, just because of the timing of things, they come out around the time of the Game Awards. A lot of the really great games from early in the year just kind of get forgotten because we get the bulk of big games near the end, which is unfortunate, and I hate it. I feel like they should really have someone in charge. Well, I don't know how they arrange things, but someone should really be like, okay, here are games that came out at different points of the year. Because I feel like if you have games of the summer or something, or games of early winter, we at least have some more representation. And I swear people will care about that more than esports.
Oh, absolutely. Because, like, esports just should be its own award show, if you care that much about esports, right? Because I'm not saying esports are not important. I'm just saying that, like, putting them in the same category as games seem to do a disservice to both. You know? That might be an atrocious take for me, too.
Nah, I see what you're saying. And I don't think, like, I feel like maybe you can have one category. Because I think the bigger problem here is not to say it's like we shouldn't have, like, a best esport game. That's totally valid. We shouldn't have, like, freaking 4 categories of these things and just have like one for all the RPGs.
2, 3,
Yeah, that-
4, 5 different ones, and a content creator of the year. So technically 6 are basically esports related.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
and like I get that like competitive fighting games aren't as big as like Valorant or COD or anything like that. But why don't like the most that competitive fighting games got was Evo being mentioned for best gaming event. Like, where's the best esports player throwing people like MKLeo or Tweak or Spargo? Like, uh, or someone from the Street Fighter crowd. Like Street Fighter 6 has been going strong for an entire year. Which I kind of want to talk about the fighting game category.
Yeah, go for it. Let's go to that next.
Yeah, for sure.
I am rooting for Street Fighter 6 for winning this. I'll say this right now. Mortal Kombat 1 ain't shit.
Really? I actually would be interested because, like, with Street Fighter 6, like, as someone outside the fighting game scene, the ads made it look super cool. Like, even to me. So, I would have probably just tried to look at, like, just the visuals of it. Mortal Kombat, I'm not sure what's going on. It's doing that Xbox One thing of, like, rebooting with the number 1.
Can I just say something quickly?
Yeah, go for it.
I really want to see a playthrough of just with the Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 2, Nigel Thornberry versus April O'Neil.
There's TikToks of it, by the way. I've seen more of that game on TikTok than anywhere. It's hilarious, like watching Garfield basically vore people for a finale. Fucking meteors getting chucked by godlike characters. Hora's final smash basically is hilarious. It's dumb. It's fun. But like, I kind of agree with you, Tyler, that Street Fighter 6 over Mortal Kombat 1, but I am a Mortal Kombat fan through and through, regardless of how I feel about the constant rebooting of the universe and the fact that somehow, no matter what, we end up with evil blah blah blah, and there's like no peace in the realms, and then there's like fucking, it went from like cartoonish gore to I watched a man get cut into pieces to a Saw degree. Like,
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry, I don't need to watch a man's spleen be set on fire by a scorpion while getting cleaved in half by shadow clones of Scorpion with every weapon from the previous versions of him. Especially since, like, Scorpion's not Scorpion, but is somehow still Scorpion. Sub-Zero isn't Sub-Zero, but he's also still somehow Sub-Zero.
He of the way Bihan is Sub-Zero. I guess they're treating Sub-Zero more like and Scorpion like titles rather than characters. And it's just
really stupid.
Well,
like,
Bihan was
Like, imagine if they did that with the Doctor. Like, the Doctor is like a title, but it's also like the Doctor.
kind of is though. Like,
it literally is. Like,
he's just
yeah,
reincarnated.
all the Doctors are one person, but like the Doctor's also a title. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, it's just a reincarnation of like the same soul essentially. Bihan was the original.
Okay, I guess that kind of works then if we're doing it like that.
But
And not to mention,
like, it's stupid to treat these as like titles. Like, I get that like Sub-Zero was passed on to the brother, right? But Scorpion not being Scorpion, but also still somehow being Scorpion is fucking stupid. It's like if Liu Kang somehow became Johnny Cage to me. Like, I'm sorry, what?
it's more like because the person that would have become Sub-Zero became Scorpion, but we still have because Kuai Liang is now Scorpion, and Hanzo Hisashi is not Scorpion.
it's dumb. It's dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
a
can't
little,
follow any of this, but okay. So Street Fighter. Okay, so like I'm curious, like what makes Street Fighter like the best fighter out of these things? Because I haven't played any of them.
honestly, when it comes to like opening up the genre of fighting games, I think Street Fighter 6 has done an excellent with the introduction of modern controls. While they can be a little nutty sometimes, I mean, I I defy you to play against a Zangief player on modern controls and tell me otherwise. However, it does do a very nice job of helping newcomers get into fighting games. Not only that, fighting games are notorious for poor single player content, and World Tour mode is easily some of the greatest single player content ever. Like, we haven't seen this kind of like, you get my point.
Yeah.
Also
Yep, okay.
the fact that like Street Fighter, like, this is like a major comeback.
True.
Like,
I
if
remember
you
Street Fighter
compare-
5 being a joke.
At launch, yes, it was. It did have its own comeback, but it still had its like peaks and valleys. I mean, just look at the reveal trailers for Abigail and Luke.
And in this corner,
But, like-
Slasher Luke. No, I'm sorry. I couldn't. I couldn't help it.
Finish him. Well, I already know what my finishing move in Mortal Kombat would be.
Yeah, well, here it is. It's Beans on Toast Discourse.
No. I've actually had it in mind for a long time. Like, I ripped someone's spinal cord out and then use that to decapitate them.
Okay, wow, that was all right.
That took a different turn than I thought it was going to be. I was just going to make a British joke.
Me too. I was expecting something funny.
I was like thinking, like, okay, what's the goriest thing that I can think of?
Like
Okay, but I
every-
thought you would go with like a gag. You're
No.
like, nah, I have like very dark right now.
No.
I
No.
would
If
kill
it's more combat, it has to be bloody and gory.
Yeah, so I'd be like Smoke, except for my smoke attack would be a fucking vape cloud at this point. Because I somehow have 3 vapes going at the same time, and I don't know when that happened, and I'm scared.
I'm actually, that kind of scares me. Because stay safe there.
I think one used to be in my coat pocket for work, and it's just made its way onto my desk. But no, like I think I still give it to Mortal Kombat 1, but I do agree with Tyler. Like, there used to be like 2 entry points to the fighting game genre. It used to be we either learned how to play Mortal Kombat or you learned how to play Street Fighter, and then Street Fighter became like overly complicated around like 4 to me anyway. Like, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing anymore? And maybe that's because like arcades kind of phased out, and I used to play these at the arcade. Now Dave and Buster's is kind of your arcade, which is its own discussion. I feel like monetization of like coin games is fucking stupid. I say that as somebody addicted to Honkai Star Rail. But like I grew up playing Mortal Kombat at the arcade, and like that's where I originally, got my chops. And like now Street Fighter 6 is ushering in a new breed of fighter, and I love that for them, because Mortal Kombat 1's controls are fucking ridiculous. Like, I played both the Switch version because I was like, how bad is this, right? Because I got the game for free. I'm like, okay, how bad is it? It's horrendous. You will literally phase into the background while you're trying to fight. I don't know why they even tried to make a Switch port of this game, as graphically intensive as it is. But then again, you have things like Hogwarts Legacy being ported to it, somehow working.
Yeah, I don't even get that. That's a whole other thing. Actually, I guess we'll just bring that up quickly since I doubt any of us really have the most to say with that game. But like Hogwarts Legacy, big game, not nominated for anything. A little surprised. I wonder if it's because of the controversy or just like another early game that got forgotten.
It's probably because of the controversy.
I think it's 50-50 because I did play it. Because I grew up with like Harry Potter.
It's a generation's like childhood right there.
Yeah, I say this as a trans person. Like I refused to stream it because I was in that whole side of things. Like I didn't want to give any attention to the creator or any of that. But I did play it because I was like curious. It was a fine game, but like it also wasn't memorable. Like when I was done with it, I'm like, okay, and I'm done with this game. Like, there's no reason to really go back to it. There's not a lot of, like, replayability there. It's a definitive story, and you're done. Like, that's it. Like, it's an RPG that's serviceable, and that's it. So there really wasn't a whole lot of content there to make me want to, like, vote for it, even if it was, like, on this. But, like, there's so much stupid, I want to distance myself from this project, from a awards perspective, where like the whole purpose of this, like monetization, like I get not wanting to put it on here, but at the same time, like I feel bad for that studio, right? That's my biggest issue. Is that studio did a phenomenal job adapting something to a grand scale, right?
Yeah.
Like exploration.
I feel like it at least deserves some kind of acknowledgement, but I also understand why it's dangerous to acknowledge.
Yeah, like,
and I think, like you said, it could just be because that game may have been a little bit propped up from its own controversy.
Very much so.
All press is bad. Press is still press at the end of the day.
Like I always refer back to Eric Bischoff back in the old wrestling promotion days. Like controversy creates cash. You'll have one side boycotting it to all be it out and like doxing people if they even streamed it, right? And then you had the other side like, I want to play this just because it'll piss off the libs, right? And I'm just here in the middle like, I want to play because I liked Harry Potter as a kid. Okay, and I'm done with it. Cool, whatever. Like it's a game. It's a game. I feel bad for the studio though because that was their first real exploration into like full open world, and they knocked it out of the park with making it feel like a living, breathing, Hogwarts essentially. But at the same time, like there was nothing overly memorable other than the fact that they did a phenomenal job at creating an open world, and I would love to see more open world games from that studio at this point because they can do it, and they've proved it, and they proved that they can make it into a Switch game as well. Like, obviously, I guess there's loading times for that. I was seeing like it wasn't as open. It was
they have loading screens,
which I get.
Yeah, at the same time, it's still like a worthwhile effort because at this point, it's like if you can get something on the Switch and have it run competently, like good job.
Yeah, especially like as dated as the Switch is at this point from a hardware perspective. Like we desperately need a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro because like at this point you're dealing with basically an iPhone 12 or like not even that, like probably an iPhone 10.
Yeah, no, I just traded in an iPhone like 11 today, and like my phone is definitely more capable than the Switch. Like, I actually still have my iPhone 11 like here. I have to mail it in later, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's better than the Switch capable because it came out 2019 and the Switch was like 2017.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
I feel
2016, 17. Yeah.
And I feel like even though it's not a console, it still was like, yeah, I can do portable gaming probably at the level or higher than the Switch.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. Like we're still running off a Tegra 4 at that point. I believe was the processor in that, and
yeah,
like we're on way like what Tegra 8 at this point. I don't follow mobile processors as much as I used to when I was doing IT work, but like it's severely out of date. But like I feel like the next one, game direction. That's an interesting.
Okay. Let's see. All right, yeah, this one I haven't voted in yet, so this will be a good discussion for my candidate. Because I know we have like some big ones here. We have Spider-Man, Baldur's Gate 2, Alan Wake 2, Mario Bros. Wonder, and Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
I think y'all know which one I'm saying.
Yeah, but I've just got to say one thing quickly, just not to rain on what you were saying there, Pike Jones, but did we go back in time? Because I could have sworn it was Baldur's Gate 3.
It is Baldur's Gate 3.
I was wondering, did I accidentally say 2?
You said, yeah, I accidentally said 2.
Okay. Thanks for calling me out. I actually was like, maybe I did.
Like 2
But yeah, anyway. Yeah, that's the other weird thing with Baldur's Gate, like specifically, because when I was like first announced, when it was first announced, and I was like, oh man, they're making like a 3 to like this series that a lot of people don't remember. I don't know how well this will do. It did amazing. So, but so why don't you guys like go over like which game you guys voted for and why?
Mine
because
was
I don't
Gate
actually.
3. And it's just
Well, to be fair, I haven't voted in anything. But if I was gonna vote, I would probably go just by default because I have seen playthroughs and I do enjoy it. Spider-Man 2.
I mean, here's my thing, I guess, as an outsider. So Spider-Man, of course, great game. Like it doesn't need any introduction. But at the same time, I think and I'm saying this as someone who hasn't like played the games, but I've just like watched playthroughs. But with Spider-Man 2, I think it was like a game that came out as a sequel to an already solid game, so all they had to do was build on top of it. So I find this particular category a little weird for it because it's like the direction it went is just like effectively like we did what we did, but more of that.
Yeah.
And that's not a problem. Like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is like very much in a similar boat. But it's like I don't know if it's like I always think of game direction as it's like here's a new avenue that we could go like with games. And I think in that sense that's why like Mario Wonder was like what I was more leaning towards for this just because like Nintendo is notorious for like not doing anything new ever. But Mario Wonder is an interesting like counter to almost everything they do because it's like a game that they just let their developers take their time to just make whatever they wanted. It's like oozing with creativity. It's like a reinvention of a 2D Mario game. And so I think it probably, I don't know if I would call it game of the year, but I would say at least in game direction, I think it's a worthy candidate for it. But that's my take on game direction.
You do have a point there. I feel like in terms of the amount of creativity on display from the devs, I feel like Mario Wonder blows Spider-Man 2 out of the damn park. Like, I love Spider-Man 2, but I'll admit, like, it does what a sequel obviously is set out to do, you know, takes what was wrong from the original and improves upon it. You know, that's what a sequel does. But like, everyone knows how a fucking Mario game works. I mean, everybody here in this call does. Everybody watching this video does. My fucking dog can understand a Mario game.
I don't know. My dog's pretty dumb.
My dog is deceptively smart. He may seem like the biggest dumbass in the world, but he opens doors.
Yeah, I just had to take.
I love when pet owners say stuff like that. It's like, my dog's a genius. Have you seen it use a remote? Hit a couple buttons and the tip won't work.
I just
had
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, making a power where everyone becomes an elephant in Mario. Yeah, okay, that's pretty creative.
I just
wait. Yeah, Luke, is this the first time you're seeing that? I just have to ask.
Yeah, that is the first time I'm seeing it.
Okay, so you didn't see all of the internet go crazy with that. Okay.
No,
so like, we
I
had the
didn't.
crown where we could turn everything into a Bowsette, right? And then now we have like fucking crossover.
Well, here's the thing, Pie Jams. Until a game does something as exciting and unexpected as when Dr. Stone did, we are going to the moon, then I'll get mega excited.
Okay, play Starfield.
Okay. I guess so. But yeah, so with Baldur's Gate 3, I that one I think did do like quite a lot in terms of like changing up what an RPG can do. So I think that's fair. I guess Mario Wonder just did a lot in relation to the Mario IP, which I'm familiar with. I'm less familiar with Baldur's Gate. Like I know what Baldur's Gate is and how it works generally, but I've played more Mario games.
Okay, so I gotta weigh in on like dogs being smart. I just had to fish a thing of beads out of my dog's throat, so I don't think dogs are smart.
Oh God!
Right. I'll be right back.
So
I think my dog is smart.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's just that I guess a non-pet owner, I always just like find it funny the way pet owners treat their pets.
No, my cat, that like Hades is deceptively smart. Shion is just suicidal. Alan Wake, though, I think is very creatively interesting to me. So I'll speak on that one first, and then I'll get to Baldur's Gate. Alan Wake tied an entire universe together because they made like the Remedy universe. So Quantum Break, Control, and Alan Wake all are in the same universe now. I think Max Payne is as well. Question mark.
It's pretty crazy.
Correct me in the comments.
I think you're.
But like,
yeah.
Wait, what's up?
No, Vex is still talking. Sorry.
So
I was just talking about the altar.
So like, there's a massive amount of needing to know what's going on in this universe. So I went back. I started streaming Alan Wake Remaster on Twitch. And I'll probably continue that here shortly while I have actual time off. Because right now I'm doing 60-hour weeks at work, so don't really have time to stream. But like, there's like needing to understand Alan Wake 1. There's needing to understand Control, which I don't think works well as a stream game. So if you want to just go into Alan Wake 2, you need to watch like an hour-long, like, explaining the Remedy universe. And it's a pure fucking survival horror game. It's not like the, like, quasi whatever the hell Alan Wake 1 was. But it's so fucking good. Like, you're really diving into the depths of madness in this game. And that's something I always love, is somebody that's a hardcore, like, Lovecraftian horror fan, like, where everything that you could possibly think about terrifies you. Watching this man's mind break is so unique to me, because he's dealing with like the mind break from his own creations in the first game, right? And they continue going down that insane, like, basically like creators mind shattering storyline in this, while also introducing a new character, while also tying in all of these, like, what you originally thought were separate entities. But when you go back and you replay it, I need to go back and replay Quantum Break now, because like I was seeing like TikToks and YouTube, because that's, what I do, I guess, of like where they were plotting out like where all of this was going to tie in inside of Quantum Break, which was so weird to me. I'm like, wait, no, this shit makes so much more sense now. So I love.
Okay,
that.
I need to look into that later, because Quantum Break was really good.
It was so
all right. I'm
good.
back.
I wish we got the TV show of that we were supposed to get, because that would have been so much fun.
It really would have. Yeah, there was like so much effort that went into that series. Like I hope it. The fact that Alan Wake was a sequel, or the sequel was such a success, I'm hoping that means it's like cool. We get just more of the universe in general. Yeah. And that includes like Control as well.
I know they're working on Control 2, and they're also working on.
Yeah, I think Phil Spencer, said that one, right?
I believe it was Phil Spencer. And I know they're starting work now that Alan Wake 2 is out on the remakes of Max Payne 1 and 2. And please, dear God, do well, because I would love a remaster of Max Payne 3. Because, like, I love bullet time. And the fact that
bullet time is a good time.
Like, now that we're getting Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes, it'll be so much fun to revisit those as content, because they're so much dumb fun. Like, the storyline of that is such dog shit, and I love it. Like, I love noir stuff, I guess, is like the thing I've found out as I've gotten older. like that pulpy noir aesthetic. There's a comic in the Massiverse called No One, where it's like the idea of a vigilante and what that actually creates, um as like the negativity in that aspect of like being the vigilante in the universe, like how you can be frowned upon as taking things too extreme, kind of like J. Jonah Jameson does in the Spider-Man universe. So like, these are damn menace. We got lock up Spider-Man and all this and blah 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 blah. And he gets into that really, at least in the the Sony verse or the Insomniac games, he gets into that like Alex Jones level conspiracy theory esque shit. I love that. He goes into that like full gravelly voice like this. But like at the end of the day, J. Jonah Jameson still like cares about the city in his own twisted respect. They kind of dive into that line of it in No One. It's a 10-issue miniseries. 6 of them are out. I think 7 comes out this week. So I definitely recommend reading that if you're into that type of story. And it just got me thinking, like, I love that kind of genre. And it makes sense because I grew up on like fucking James Bond and shit too. So, you know, I guess I was kind of predisposed to loving that kind of stuff. But Baldur's Gate 3 took everything that worked well with the first 2 games, took some of the mechanics combat-wise from the Dark Alliance games, which were kind of like spin-offs that were kind of more Diablo-esque and kind of gave you like loot drops and shit. And then melded it all into one as like what worked well with the Divinity Original Sin games, which was Larian's previous titles. Zangetsu gifted me those 2 games, so I need to go back and play those now that I've finished everything that I think I can possibly do on Baldur's Gate. Which I know is a laughable statement, but I really don't think I've done everything that I can do in that game, but like I need to go and play Divinity at this point. But like I already loved this universe because it was one of the first like D&D things I played as a kid. And just the sheer amount of stupid shit you can do in Baldur's Gate 3 is astounding to me to this day. Like you can go from fucking a bear to walking in on like ogres having sex with owlbears, because that's a thing in this universe, I guess. To watching your vampire twink have a meltdown because he wasn't the one that got to kill his master, to having enough fire puns and the I want to burn you up with Carl. I love this game so much. It's so much fun. I cannot recommend Baldur's Gate 3 enough. It got my vote for this, even as somebody that loved Alan Wake. And Spider-Man 2, I feel like it did everything right, but it's also still just a sequel. It just refined the little bits there, and then it moved on, and it moved the story, and it moved this universe forward just a little bit, right? Because they still want to make more. And that's fine for what it is, but it didn't really push the boundaries. And like, I don't give a fuck about Modern Zelda. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah, and I think Zelda, you could say it does like similar things to like a sequel, although maybe even less so because I don't understand how Zelda's story works.
yeah, it's. I respect what they're trying to do with Zelda, but I miss.
I mean, I think calling it like a huge departure doesn't really make much sense after like Breath of the Wild was already a thing.
Yeah.
Like I love like the Wind Waker style games. I love like the Ocarinas style games. I don't want full open world on my Zelda. I want there to be some like closed boundaries. I feel like they're trying too much, in my opinion. They're trying to be Skyrim, supposed to be like little elf boy goes and fights big bad, and that's it. Like that's Zelda to me. I feel like it's just too much for what it's supposed to. In Mario is fucking Mario. Like, I'm sorry, it never really pushes the boundaries too much. It just made a new power up. Cool, you're a fucking elephant now.
All right, I guess that's fair enough. I will say, like, Baldur's Gate 3 definitely is a fair choice for this one.
I do feel like Alan Wake deserves all the recognition. What it's trying to do, though. That that's my big, like, go play Alan Wake 2. If you loved Alan Wake 1, if you love that universe, go play Alan Wake 2. You'll enjoy the hell out of it. It definitely feels like the modern Resident Evil and like how it plays. So also if you like that and you want more of that, like you want more like Village or 7, like that's exactly what this is, gameplay wise. Anybody care about VR or AR?
Not really.
Nope.
Let me see what's there.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So I didn't vote in it, but I'm just gonna take a quick look. I don't actually have any VR headsets, but
I still mine, so.
I mean, I think I didn't play any of these. I mean, but I mean, it's cool that Horizon had a VR game. I think it was like, I'm glad that IP is getting a good amount of love because it's a very good new IP. But
It's my eternal backlog. I hate to say that. Like, I have bought this game on PS4, started it, never finished it. I streamed a bit of it to try and finish it, and it is just so wordy. Like, I feel like a boomer, but like the dialogue takes so fucking long.
Which game?
Horizon.
Okay.
But I do love that it's getting the recognition because it is a beautiful game. Like, art-wise, it is such a beautiful world. Like, I love the art direction of this game. I love the fact that it's getting the respect it deserves. But my God, the dialogue, for like the little bit I streamed of it, the dialogue itself took longer than actually playing the game. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't feel like it translated well to content. Like my issue there. So I should probably just play it off stream now that I have it on my PC, and my PC is capable of handling it better now.
I don't have a PlayStation, but I do have it like on my PC. But I originally discovered it just like through playthroughs, and I felt like it's one of those games that kind of got a little overshadowed by Breath of the Wild coming out and Tears of the Kingdom this year. But you know what? I am glad that despite that, it's still selling well enough that it's like cool. Like we're getting stuff from it because I like the idea of like technology, like ancient cultures mixing together. It's like one of the things I do like about Dr. Stone too.
Yeah,
like how like technology could be different, like if the circumstances of how they developed and came about would be. I just enjoy that kind of sci-fi stuff. And there's a lot of thought put into the world of this. I guess the only thing is it kind of sucks that, again, it's just like an exclusive, but I can't be mad about that because this one is actually one that was built up to be an exclusive, unlike like freaking Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to a different category.
Yeah.
What else did you guys want to do?
I'll say I watched somebody play the VR mode or the VR game of Horizon, and it handles
I watched a little too.
It handles it well.
I'm surprised, Vex, you've not got a VR headset for Resident Evil Village just for that.
Listen. I love Lady Dimitrescu, but I did play Resident Evil 7's VR mode, and it made me incredibly nauseous.
Okay.
Like, I don't really have issues with a lot of VR stuff, but that one in particular, I don't know if it was like the film grain filter that they had on that. But I just did not even want to try Villages after my experience with 7's. And I can only imagine playing Gran Turismo of all things in a fucking VR headset. Like, I feel like that's just like asking for motion sickness. That's another one of them that's nominated here. But yeah, like my vote ended up going to like Horizon just because it was like a game built from the ground up for that. And it's something I recognize. Best family game seems
much
like an interesting one.
Okay. I think I know that one, but yeah, you guys can start talking while I pull it up.
So I gave Party Animals my vote here.
Yeah, I've actually heard that was pretty good.
Yeah, same.
It's a
I gave it to Sonic Superstars as the hardcore Sonic fan here.
Of course
Like-
you would.
I mean, yeah, anyone who follows me knows how much I love Sonic. And I'll be honest, this game, it's not the best Sonic game, but it's still like a really solid one. And this year had like a lot of like just Sonic titles that I thought maybe Frontiers would appear in the community thing, which we'll get to later. And maybe the Prime Season 2 would get an adaptation, but this is the one that I guess makes the most sense. Sonic in the family titles, and I'm just happy it got nominated ultimately, so I have to give it a vote. But it's not going to win, and it's probably going to go to Mario. Because like Pikmin, I've heard Pikmin got like more popular like this gen apparently with this entry, which good for Pikmin, but it's still a very unknown title. And I've never even heard of this Disney game, so I don't know what that's about. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mario.
The Disney
What's up?
Illusion Island is actually pull this. I did a little bit. But like Disney Illusion Island is a Nintendo Switch game. It's kind of like anybody remember the game? Fucking, I forget the name. Secret Castle or.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. But yeah, wait, what about it?
It's kind of like.
Is it like a sequel to that?
It's kind of in the same vein as that, story wise. Castle of Illusion. That's what it.
Okay, yeah.
I had to fucking remember the name of it. Yeah, it kind of feels like that in the same sense, and gameplay wise, but it's co-op based, so you can mom and dad or whatever. Because it's.
I think yeah, co-op's been like a big thing, I guess, with a lot of these. Because I know it's like Sonic is like a multiplayer mode, which not too uncommon, but I think it's the first time with 4 players for a game. And then Mario had that as well.
Yeah,
so
recently
and
we
the
got
Party Animals, I'm assuming is multiplayer.
Yeah, it's like Rubber Bandits essentially. If you've ever seen a gameplay of that.
Yeah, so I think just like couch co-op making a comeback is like nice. I remember it's something I grew up with that I just figured became less popular just because nowadays everyone's doing everything online.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that there's like at least some form of it existing.
Yeah, Pikmin 4, like I'm sure Red would vote for because he's a big Pikmin person. Mario obviously has had like couch co-op since like the Wii game again. I believe. But you could also be a cunt in that one too. Like you could mess with your friends and like build barriers where they couldn't jump and everything. I love the art
Actually,
style.
the Wii version also had co-op, if I remember, but they all kind of blend together.
Yeah, I mean, you play one Mario game, you play them all. I love the art style of the recent Mickey cartoons, though, so I love that for the solution. I've never played this game, but I have played Party Animals.
Yeah.
It's fun as hell. It's more fun to be a dick in the game, like with Rubber Bandits or like any of these like co-op jackass games that make like funny moments. YouTubers' money go up. But yeah, I knew you would vote for Sonic. And it
Yeah,
seems
I think
like
we all knew.
it seems like the completely serviceable Sonic game. I do wish Frontiers got it instead of this, but I guess that was more of a like last year kind of thing.
Oh yeah, like it wasn't going to be in this category, but I thought maybe it might be in community or support because like the game got so many updates like this year.
Exactly.
But I also can't be that mad because we got so much Sonic content and a mobile game is coming out like next week on Apple Arcade, so it's
That's
like
awesome.
yeah, I'm fine either way.
So let's talk community support then.
Yeah, it's probably a good way to transition into that.
I gave it to Cyberpunk. I did not give Baldur's Gate this one, believe it or not.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, it makes sense based on the discussion we had, but go ahead and let the people know.
I love how much this game has turned around. I was worried for a while there. And I love the universe that this game takes place in. I love the cyberpunk aesthetic. Like, I am a person that walks around in tech wear constantly, so like not at all surprising. Um, but I fucking cannot believe how well they listened to community feedback with this. Like, they took every complaint into consideration. They relaunched the entire game, rebuilt it from the ground up for like how your armor and how your skills and everything carry over and how they take effect. They took away like the stupid clothing rule for a lot of things, which I thought was dumb as hell. And now everything kind of like blends into like actual skills, and like your tree actually making sense and not buffed based on what jacket you're wearing, like it was fucking Destiny. Which is also nominated. And I don't know how the fuck Destiny 2 is even nominated for this when the entire community is shitting on them.
Yeah. I mean, that was a pretty bad pick right there. I mean, I don't know what's going on with those guys, but it's definitely not winning this category.
No, it is
like,
not.
if it does, like, that's going to be the evidence that's like, yeah, someone's just giving them money to skew the votes.
Exactly. Like, if Destiny 2 wins this,
like everything else here, I can actually see, because like No Man's Sky, I mean, like you said, they did like a lot of work to like really make this game great. It's just that they've done that already before, so it's like, are you guys getting more awards for doing like the exact same thing you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And then like with Baldur's Gate, like it's had good community repertoire. Final Fantasy 14's been again doing that for like years.
I mean, they
Destiny's the only one that's weird.
They nuked their own world, rebuilt it from the ground up, and have continued to like service the community to an absurd level. I got notification that our like my guild's housing is being demolished, and I'm like, oh, I haven't logged in like a year at this point, so it's not at all surprising. So that's whatever. I don't care. I played it during quarantine. I just can't. I can't MMO. I'm sorry. It's.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard too many good things about that game, but it's like my MMO days are like so well behind me, which is just again another weird old man thing to be seeing on stream.
Yeah, like I love the idea of this game. I love.
Oh yeah.
How much.
I think it's just that we were just born too early for it. It's just it.
Yeah, like my guild days and my MMO days were in WoW, and I don't even WoW anymore. Like. But like I know Blizzard bad, but like I can't sink 100,000 hours into one game anymore. Like I used to be good at Halo. I logged on to fucking Reach, and I'm like, I'm not good at Halo anymore, huh? You know. But that was like what my one thing after I left WoW was like I sank a lot of time into Halo, and I got really fucking good at Halo 3 and Halo Reach. I enjoyed what I played of Infinite, but like at the time it was just like 3 maps on rotation. I'm like, I'm bored. Like I love the world of Destiny 2 as well, like the lore, the universe of it. But that game is fucking stupid. Like whatever Bungie's doing there is just. I don't understand.
Yeah, I gave Destiny a shot. It's just not for me, but I've never been a huge FPS person to begin with.
Yeah, I am. Like, that was my bread and butter. But now I'm an RPG person mostly, like single player RPG. Or I guess like I spend my days watching Bikini Bottom right now.
Okay, so yeah, I think for community, I mean, it basically is either like Cyberpunk, I think, is a good vote. And then the other ones are pretty good just because of their community repertoire, what they've been doing, except for Destiny 2. So basically, keep an eye out to see if Destiny ends up winning this, because then we'll know there's conspiracies.
That's when I put on my tinfoil hat and go on about they're turning the fucking Game Awards gay or whatever. I don't know.
So what to go with next?
How about narrative?
Okay, cool. I was thinking of that because that's another one I didn't vote for, but I usually would. Again, because I was probably going to, I don't know if Octopath would have shown here, but it would have been an interesting way. It's a game with like 8 different characters, the stories coming together, but whatever. So yeah, I'm assuming again you voted for Baldur's Gate for this
Baldur's
one.
Gate. It's
Yeah.
probably Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, it is. Listen,
I mean, it could have been Alan Wake 2. We just had
You
a
know,
whole speech about how Alan Wake 2 combining all these stories together.
You know what? I had this rant at the beginning about repetition. Yet, what is Vex doing?
I mean, it is like his like a game.
I
of the
know
decade
it
so far.
is. I know it is. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah.
I love Phantom Liberty as well. Like I played every one of these games. By the way, I played Alan Wake 2. I played Baldur's Gate 3. I played Phantom Liberty. I played Final
You have to
Fantasy.
give Vex that. Like he is voting with as someone who's actually played a good
Okay,
amount of these games.
yes, I give him that. I give them that.
But like Final Fantasy 16, I don't like how it handled its story. I feel like it would have been more. It's stupid, right? Because I would have liked to have played the story more than I watched it, right? You know, and actually,
Yeah, you have mentioned that, like a lot of cutscenes, and I think that's fair. I mean, I feel like narratively, like of these games, I mean, I haven't played like I don't know what's going on with Cyberpunk, and like with Alan Wake, apparently it combines a bunch of games. But Baldur's Gate probably does have like the most like narrative strength, because if Spider-Man 2 is continuing the story of Spider-Man and Final Fantasy is doing whatever the fuck it's doing, like Baldur's Gate at least I think was more story focused than most of these games here.
Yeah.
Other than Final Fantasy, but that's trying to be more of a movie, like you say.
Yeah, the thing for me, like, I love how they treated the crystals as like this evil entity in this one, right? Because you always come back to crystals in Final Fantasy thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't mind that.
It kind of turned it into like a grimdark in a way, which was a unique perspective. It took a lot of nods from, I feel like, Game of Thrones and its narrative as well. So you're combining like grimdark with your your like Game of Thrones, and you're also reading, I guess, like classism is a big theme of this one as well, which is common in Final Fantasy, but it was very fucking apparent in this one. Like it was on the nose, like it's classism and it's racism built into it. So it did a good story. It's just like you didn't play the story. Phantom Liberty, it's like basically it could have been like a standalone expansion, but it still tied in with the story, and it gave a really good ending to that character and a lot of the characters in your romance. Well, Alan Wake 2, I feel like it has like a almost disservice in the fact that you need to kind of understand all the other games in the universe to really have a full appreciation for it. Whereas Baldur's Gate, you could basically just hop into this game, regardless of the fact that it's Baldur's Gate 3, you can hop into this, you can experience multiple different stories and multiple different endings, and you can also have an appreciation for this as its own entity. While also playing it and enjoying it. Whereas, like I said, Final Fantasy, like you're watching the that's just like my take on it. I feel like that's why Baldur's Gate will.
Yeah, I think it will, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either that or maybe Alan Wake, but yeah.
And I feel like Alan Wake would deserve this as well, because it is a phenomenal story. Phantom Liberty, it could win, but like I feel like it would be a better for like the communities over the.
Okay. I think that's a narrative, more or less.
Yeah.
Tyler, did you have anything to say before we move on?
Not really.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
Score and music is a good. That will be a.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think this is another one where I was saying, I voted for Hi-Fi Rush just because.
Same.
Like a lot of these games, I'm sure have great music, but this is the actual rhythm game, and the way they just incorporated the music. I mean,
So it's kind of like a Parappa the Rapper style game.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I believe that is like a Sony rhythm game, but yeah, definitely give this one a try for
Okay.
people who enjoy that kind of stuff. Like art style wise, I think is what really won me over. But the way it just uses rhythm and combat was pretty cool. And it also was like a
Gotta
shadow drop.
believe.
I miss like those kind of days when we had like games just being, oh, this is a new game and it's out today.
Yeah, like it kind of got shadow dropped, didn't it?
It did, and I think that's another reason. Like, I actually just really liked it. I mean, besides the fact that it was also on top of that on Game Pass, which is like, okay, it's a game that came out today, and I don't have to pay extra money for it. Like, why not? And it was great.
Yeah, I love the music. The music in Final Fantasy 16 was also really good.
Yeah, I will say that.
But they always have good music. Like Final Fantasy always has great music. Like I was surprised. Like I shouldn't have been because it was like a rhythm game, right? But like I was surprised at how good the soundtrack was for Hi-Fi Rush.
I would have been surprised if it was bad. That would just been really tank the game.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate has great music, but like it's not the focus for me. That game, like exploring and trying to bang all the characters. I had to channel myself and be a bit of a whore in that game. But like Alan Wake, I love that they brought back like the in-universe band for that as well. So that was really a cool touch for them. But again, it's just more of the same from like the original game and carrying over a little bit of the Control-esque music as well. But Hi-Fi Rush just, it surprised me, like how catchy it makes perfect sense at the same time. And Zelda is Zelda. It's whatever. Like its music is always like good. To an extent, but it's just it did not do it.
Yeah, I agree.
What
And
surprised me was there was no nod to Octopath in this because the soundtrack for
Yep.
that is phenomenal.
yeah, it would have been an easy vote, even above Hi-Fi Rush for me. But yeah, it's what it is. Because yeah, Team Asana's games, like I think Revo did this one. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I believe they did, and they're amazing at music.
Oh yeah. I would have been really I'm actually really shocked that Spider-Man didn't get nominated as well. Because it had a great sound composition. But like that would have just added to the discourse of like there's too many of the same. There was another one that I
mean, to be fair, like looking in a different category, because I was thinking, it's like, yeah, wait, I did think I saw Spider-Man, but it's actually in like audio design. So
yeah, that's probably a better fit for it. I don't know how many played Remnant 2 of us, but it also had really great music, sound design as well. I don't remember sound design category though. In Yakuza, whatever, the new one, man who erased his
Like
Like a
a-
Dragon Infinite Wealth?
no, the man who erased his name, one that just dropped. It had possibly the best soundtrack in. I was completely. I never really looked to Yakuza, other than the karaoke shit. I never looked to Yakuza games as having a great soundtrack, but this one actually surprised. So yeah, that was one that kind of like I guess like RGG just doesn't get nominated in these shows, but
yeah, it's unfortunate.
I respect the hell out of how much they actually poured into sound in this one. It makes sense narratively as well, like having a good soundtrack in this one. Anyway, but let's just go right into audio design since we already mentioned it. Unless anybody has
Yeah,
any thoughts.
so
on
bringing that up, I also voted for Hi-Fi Rush in this, but the new candidates here are like Dead Space and Resident Evil 4.
Finally, a game that I've actually played.
So, Luke, did you vote for Resident Evil 4?
Well, to be fair, no, I haven't voted for anything. But if it was, it would be Resident Evil 4. Okay, I'll admit, Fex, I did. Okay, I admit, Fex, I'm being a hypocrite here because it'll just be Resident Evil 4 with me. But no, I always liked just like the atmosphere of the Resident Evil 4 Resident Evil games, but particularly like the remake of 4, 7, and 8 have always stood out for me. Particularly 8 when like Fex, you know the area that I'm talking about.
Fuck the dollhouse. Fuck the dollhouse. No.
It's yeah, you can foot the dollhouse, but you have to admit the audio just like you just when you hear that mama coming.
Yeah, no, like the design in that in particular was so fucking terrifying. I shut the game off after I beat that part. I'm like, nope, I'm done for the night.
Yeah, and it's just like anybody who plays that game and gets to that part with
I can't wait for people to be creeped out if that the fucking Silent Hill 2 remake does creepy shit like that.
Oh my god, can you imagine
even
that?
Like the original Silent Hill 2, like the audio design in that game was terrifying, but like if the remake does like half as well as like the remakes for Resident Evil have done, then the internet is going to collectively shit their pants, and I'm just going to be sitting back laughing. Because I was horrified playing Silent Hill 2 when I was young.
Yeah, I'm very interested in the remake of Silent Hill 2. But I know
Silent
one
Hill
person
be fucking good.
But
so
I know
pissed about the fucking the shit they're doing now with the mobile whatever you want to call it, interactive TV show bullshit where you got a battle pass for voting in a goddamn choose your own adventure game. Sorry,
but I know one person who's probably going to be a bit more critical of the remake of Silent Hill 2.
Oh, I'm going to be
okay.
No, Yahtzee from formerly of Seal Punctuation, because he has a storybook marriage to Silent Hill 2. But no, going back to Resident Evil 4, I just appreciate the fact that it's basically the same style of audio atmosphere, but just like enhanced, updated to fit the modern times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And especially just hearing the regenerators like.
They did not need to make the regenerators that thick. Okay.
The design. We're not talking about the designs of the actual regen.
I still can't get over how fucking fat their asses were. But like, no, you're right. Like when they come out of the walls and everything and just start chasing you around, like the cues for that are great. I love the.
I still prefer like because I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think like the regenerating music plays when the regenerators are out in the remake.
A cue, like when they're about to attack, like the cryo where you're going around freezing them. There's cues, to where like you will know like when to parry if you want to like knife only run. That's another thing I really like the audio cues. I think it's more because I wear IEMs now instead of like over-the-ear headphones or just using my speakers. Because I'm so used to them being involved in music now. Like I'm just constantly have IEMs for headphones. I noticed that more like with the Krauser fight. I noticed that a lot more with like
this music effects that I've put in mod stuff like just. That music, I don't think it plays in the remake.
Let me
But yeah,
no, I don't think that music.
Yeah, which is a bit of a disappointment for me because that was what enhanced like what not just like the it was the breathing plus combined with that music that made them so creepy in the first place.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think another game that really did this well was Dead Space. I don't know if you guys played the remake, but I did. I
haven't. I mean, I didn't feel the need to, honestly, because Dead Space is Dead Space. I wasn't sure what a remake was going to do for it.
It really enhanced visually. It did a lot of like quality of life stuff that wasn't there in the original. But like what I really loved was like how atmospheric the sound was in that as well. And it did it well in the original, but I think it just for like modern audio, and it had a lot more accessibility, which is another thing that I was shocked in a horror game, accessibility options.
Okay, maybe I'll give it a shot then. I mean, I just really wasn't interested in like redoing Dead Space. I mean, not to say Dead Space was bad, but it's like, what is the remake gonna do?
Yeah, it's
But apparently, if it does things well, then maybe I'll actually give it a go.
it's I think on Game Pass anyway. So
Yeah,
so like you won't be losing. I did pay full price.
exactly.
Because I want to see more Dead Space content, so I paid full price for it.
Hey, that's fair, and I respect that, honestly.
But like
I mean, I think for me, it's like I would like to see more Dead Space, but it's also not like I feel like it's also a series that, you know, if it wanted to rest, I'd be like, cool, you guys already like proved yourselves. You don't need to do more.
I
Like Mass Effect, I feel like that's like a big enough like world that it's like, yeah, I can see them expanding like as far as they really want. But Dead Space, I felt like was more of a like a specific storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. And 3 was atrocious. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah. So maybe don't do more. That's the other
Haven't
thing.
played it.
Yeah, like Dead Space 3 tried to turn it into like an action bro game, like Gears of War, kind of. This is the best way I could put it. And it tanked the franchise. I love Motive Studios.
Yeah.
Though, so like I want to see them continue to have a studio as well.
And if the remake is their way of saying this is going to be the style of game if they go in the future, then hey, that's good.
Yeah. And EA is notorious for just shutting down studios, so I'm like, hey, here, have my money, have my $70. Please don't shut this studio in particular down.
I can respect that, supporting a studio.
But yeah, I
mean, capitalism is the only way to fight capitalism.
Sad but true. But like Hi-Fi Rush got my vote here. I will give Spider-Man 2 a lot of credit for its sound design as well. I think Tyler and I are on the same page with like the symbiotes and how each individual one had their own sound effects, how each one had their own like audio cues for knowing when to combat. The thing that shocked me, and I don't know if anybody noticed that, but all of the different missions seem to have a different audio design. So if you were doing like the fire shit with Cletus Cassidy, you had different audio design than say your Brooklyn Academy shit with Miles. You had different designs for like the stuff with Uncle Aaron. You had a lot, and that makes sense because it was a mixtape, and they dove into like the whole like making a beat stuff with that. So each individual part of the side campaign was designed completely differently. So that was really cool. And I think that's just like the audio nerd in me coming out. But I love that in particular. But Hi-Fi Rush, it's a game built around audio. It is solely meant to fuel this category. Alan Wake just had a creepy ambiance throughout. I don't know how it got in this in particular. Out of all of it, I feel like it doesn't belong in this category. But yeah. Don't want to click on that. We want to go back to categories. Art direction. Go down the line a little bit. This is an interesting one for me. Because we got Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Mario Brothers Wonder, Legend of Zelda.
Wait, which category are we in?
Art direction.
Oh, okay.
I love the design of Lies of P as somebody that's never played this game. But I mean,
yeah, it is very pretty.
I feel like that's the like going back to like I love the Alice games. And that also happens to be like I love Alice in Wonderland as well. I love that's Pinocchio is a story that I'm not as big of a fan of, but I love the design and like the universe for this, so I respect that. But I also gave this one to Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, same. And I think that like the only other one, like Mario is like pretty and shiny, but it's also just like a very shiny Mario game ultimately. and the Tears of the Kingdom was like basically with Breath of the Wild again. And I feel like again, like Alan Wake and Liza P look nice, but they're also like they also kind of like fit their own genre and what they're trying to emulate. But Hi-Fi Rush felt like a very unique type of game, which is why I give it art direction. And I feel like it should win. I don't know if it will. I mean, the other categories we mentioned, I think it has like a good chance in, but I can also see it like potentially losing just because it's not as big as some of these other titles. But I hope it wins one of these. Like, even if it can't win like all of them, I just need it to win one of these.
Oh yeah. I feel like it has a better chance of winning this than a lot of the other stuff because of how stylistic it is. I will be kind of pissed if Legend of Zelda wins this, but I know it more than likely will, simply because of its popularity and its name recognition alone, and how, as much as I hate to admit it is a beautiful fucking game. It is very, very stylistic. It has its own unique like take on this techno future that they're doing, but also in the past, where like you can build like this is a Zelda game where you can build whatever the fuck you want. Like I saw people build Ultraman, so like it's very creative in that design. But like I feel like Liza P also is very deserving of this one just because of how its art direction goes. Just its universe in general seems like almost like BioShock in a way, you feel?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can see that.
Speaking of which, I remember the BioShock style game coming out, so because I love that.
Yeah, I think like probably to cap off this discussion, we could probably just say what we're looking forward to getting like announced. Because more than these awards, it's like what announcements are we gonna get is like the reason we watch these award
the
shows.
Other categories I'm interested in talking about is like impact and
let's see. Let's see what we got. Okay, like I guess I'll quickly mention like sim and strategy. I'm not sure if it's a category you guys voted in, but I just kind of gave it to Fire Emblem, one because I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, and also because when I first like saw Engage, I thought this is so stupid. You guys went from like Three Houses, which was like this really complex story game, to like some silly goofy like storyline that looked like a spin-off, but it actually came together pretty well. I'm surprised.
The game had fucking pizza.
I guess the only other
Sorry.
categories that I'm interested in are like best action adventure, best performance, and obviously game of the year.
Okay. So which one do you guys want to do next?
I also gave this one Fire Emblem.
For strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we're in agreement with that. I mean, the other strategy games are. I mean, I've have friends who love Company of Heroes, and I've heard good things about Advanced Boot Camp, but Fire Emblem, I just really enjoy most. So.
I'll go Games for Impact. Here.
Yeah, I think I voted for that one too, but I'm trying to find it.
I gave this one to Goodbye Volcano High.
I gave this one to Venba, and that's actually just because I mean it's culturally relevant. It was on my wish list for like a while now when it first got announced. I think in like maybe that Wholesome Games showcase that they have a couple of years back. I saw this and I really just liked it because it's like, oh, this kind of reminds me of my own childhood. Just seeing all these foods that are cooked. So
I went entirely on brand with the queer furry game. So,
Yeah. So basically, we both stuck to our principles. Me and my culture, and you being a furry. You
gotta stand on your principles, right? I love the story in this. It's kind of very short and not a lot of content. So definitely a game I would recommend getting on sale. But if you're
interested, I've heard actually pretty good things, like jokes aside.
Yeah.
And like some of the devs that were on here worked on some other games, indie games I liked. So
yeah, absolutely. I know that TCHIA is also a game is on my wish list as well. But
Yeah, so what we're saying is give some of these indie games a try.
yeah, I've also heard
They're
good things
actually
about
solid.
the space for the Unbound, but it's not my type of game. And accessibility, I gave this one to Street Fighter.
Yeah, I didn't vote for this one, so let me see. Yeah, I think Tyler was talking earlier that this one's really good for newbies, so that might be a fair vote.
Yeah. I will say Spider-Man 2 has a lot of accessibility options, even included into the
I actually did want to talk to you guys about that because I've heard about those, and that sounds pretty cool. Although, I mean, the people who were talking about it apparently weren't super big on it, but I don't really take their opinion seriously on that. But yeah, how is like swing assist and whatnot?
So like I tried it like fully off and fully on, and I will say it is brutal not having the swing assist on, which makes sense when you think about it. Like you're trying to, in the boots of Spider-Man, you're trying to like calculate for momentum and arch and everything that for like what's going on in his head, right? Like as somebody swinging in this unit. So it makes all of the sense in the world to sorry, I just got a text. Like you're trying to calculate all of his like momentum and everything that's going on in his head to like try and think about all of the like calculations for physics, right? Because you have a lot of physics involved in like swinging and like momentum that you're going to have and making sure you don't crash into a fucking building, right? So it would make sense to not, if you're not having that assist on, to be completely brutal and unforgiving. But like with the swing assist on, it almost feels like it's holding your hand. So there's like abilities to tune it up and down to where you feel like you're not being babied through the game, but also not so unforgiving to where you're basically dying every 5 seconds. You don't really die unless you turn off or turn on fall damage, and there's actually a trophy for like dying from falling too high, which was one of the first things I did. Honestly, I want to see like how brutal the fall damage is, so I would go from like a small building and see how many like hit points I lost to like jumping off a fucking Avengers Tower. That's how I got it. Is like I jumped from there and just down. Watch Peter Parker splat into the concrete was funny as hell. But there's also like,
and I'm assuming Tyler, you feel the same way, like with the swing assist.
I actually, like, I did not play with any of the assists on. I just kind of went all in with assists off.
You went full crazy.
I do think it's. Go ahead.
You went full crazy and turned all of the assist off. It's on by default.
I mean, like all the assists.
Like the assist for like swing motion is on by default.
Oh yeah, I turned that off.
Okay. I guess not much comment on that then. But you voted for Street Fighter ultimately, so I assume it has even better accessibility options.
I didn't play Street Fighter too much other than like with buddies. But like I think it's like the best entry point for new people to join a fighting community. Something that's desperately you need new blood in the fighting community, right? Even if I don't play fighting games too much, I feel like it's that best option for jumping in. Whereas Mortal Kombat 1, like its assists are like easy fatalities and like a little bit of a button assist for like new players. It has a really good training mode and nothing else. Like the second you get online, you're getting murked by pros. Like they have no skill-based matchmaking. That's a genre that I feel like desperately needs skill matchmaking. Because there's nothing worse.
Like
Go ahead.
go ahead. I was about to say, like, games like Guilty Gear have like skill-based matchmaking, but like I don't know how good Guilty Gear Strive's matchmaking is in comparison to like other games that use skill-based matchmaking.
Like for me, like, because I started playing Mortal Kombat X was where I started playing again, like online, and the second I logged online to get like my daily fights in, I was going up against a person who was like of the highest rank. I forget what it was in Mortal Kombat X. But like I got fucking juggle comboed into death in like 30 seconds, right? And that's not a good experience for new players going. Going up against people better than you is a way to learn how to improve yourself, but you should not be getting that your first few matches into the game itself, right? That's an instant turnoff for most people. Whereas like with
Yeah, it is for me, and that's largely why I don't typically play fighting games unless there's like a good campaign. And even then, it's usually like anime fighting games I play where I already know the story, and you know.
Yeah, or you play like the AI generated voice scenes in Naruto Storm Connections.
Yeah, that's a whole controversy in of itself.
I cannot believe they went that way. To watch the actual voice actors
and like how we found out about it,
Uh-huh.
the actual voice actor being like, "I did not say any of that. What is happening, guys?"
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, they AI.
Oh yeah, so there was like on social media, like there was like this video clip of I think it was Naruto saying something, and then people were like, "Man, I can't believe Naruto said all these things." And then the VA was like, "What? No, guys, I promise you, I didn't say that, and no competent voice director would make me do that. I don't know what this is." So we figured out that the AI was involved.
Yep. But like I feel like Street Fighter is that entry point that a lot of people need. Spider-Man 2 had like colorblind filters. It had a lot of other really good like audio detection for like cues and shit, which was cool. My buddies that play Forza still, they were saying like they had like drive assist for people that are like one-handed or a lot of that. And it had like full integration with the adaptive controller, which is nice. Which is something that I guess the other ones didn't, which I can't confirm nor deny because I don't play the game anymore. And Diablo 4, I just refuse to vote for in principle. Because
on principle.
There's $100 fucking horse armor in that game. They can suck my whole ass dick. Anyway.
Okay, so yeah, I think you made some pretty fair arguments, and I guess for this one, probably would either go to Spider-Man or Street Fighter. Yeah, I guess let's give it to Street Fighter. Why not? I didn't vote for it for anything yet.
Ongoing, I guess, has Fortnite, which is what got my vote. The only person that plays
Let me
Fortnite.
see. Ongoing. Yeah, I didn't vote for anything there. I mean, I'm not going to vote for Genshin on principle because it's stupid. I guess I'll just give this one to Final Fantasy because it's still impressive, like what the devs did with that game.
Yeah, that's very fair. I like how they've rallied the community back for Fortnite, and then immediately, after I voted for the shit that came out, they did like the whole age gating for things or like certain costumes because they have guns in them, and they don't want guns in the fucking Lego mode, and they're trying to figure out how to balance that. And I'm like, you are literally a shooter, my guy. Come on. And Lego literally has guns in some of their sets. So what's the actual controversy?
I mean, the actual Lego games have guns.
Yeah, exactly.
No. They're not actual guns. They're laser guns.
I don't give
Guns
a
are
fuck.
guns, my dude. Like, I've literally seen, I remember the Sonic Lego thing they had for Lego Dimensions. They had Shadow holding a gun to reference the Shadow the Hedgehog games. Like,
No. It wasn't a gun. It was a hammer.
We're
No, it
not
was
for kids in Lego. We're not for kids in Lego. I refuse to live on a planet where 4 kids in Lego are in the same category. Nope. I put my foot down there.
Luke, you said you want to do action adventure.
Yeah, cause now for this one, you think I'm gonna pick Resident Evil 4 again, but I'm not. I'm not gonna be predictable like that. No, even though I've not played it yet, but I have played the first one. I really should get on playing Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, go ahead. It's fixed to where it's playable now on PC, so
Oh, okay, yeah, cause I did enjoy the first the first Jedi game for Fallen Order. I found the story really interesting. Love the characters. Love the love the little backstory with the robot. Like when a Star Wars game makes you cry for a robot, you know it's doing something right.
well, the robots.
Yeah, I'm glad Star Wars is getting good games now.
Yeah. So
Well, to be fair, most of the Star Wars games I do enjoy a lot, like Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast, Old Republic, Knights of the Republic. I still need to play through, but I'm enjoying that so far.
Surprise and canceled remake. I'm not at all surprised if it actually is canceled though. Like it's
Yeah. Anyway, I'll just give my vote for Star Wars just for you, Luke.
Okay. Yeah.
I
but
gave mine to Resident Evil 4 in this one, even though like I played everything.
I mean, I think my issue. I mean, Resident Evil 4. I'm glad like such an iconic game got a good remake, but I feel like if we do need to add like one more category, it would probably be one for remakes and remasters.
yeah,
Just because it's almost unfair in some ways. Because on one hand, it's like yes, a game that's been remade for after a long enough period of time is practically a new game. But on the other hand, especially because it's like Resident Evil 4, that's like an iconic game. Like even me, who's barely into Resident Evil, like I've heard of Resident Evil 4 specifically because of how impressive it was. So it's voting it in any category almost feels like yeah, it's because it's Resident Evil 4. So I think it's fine here, and maybe also in the sound. I have a little more issue with it in the Game of the Year category, just because I feel like a remake is kind of also taking up slots in some ways in my mind, just because it's like if you competently remake a game, and a really good game at that, it'll probably show up on like any of these nominations, and it's easier for it to do than like a brand new IP or even a continuing series.
See, for action, I gave my vote to Remnant 2. I feel like I'm the only one that played that, so it's
looking at the picture for Remnant 2, like just on the nominees, that picture looks gorgeous.
Right, like no, it's not just gorgeous. It is possibly the best continuation of a new IP I've seen in time. It takes what I loved about Destiny back in the day, gearboxes it like with gunplay akin to Borderlands, right? Which is one of my favorite franchises of all time. Like I absolutely adore Borderlands. Gives you that feel in the gunplay and throws it into like a multiplayer shooter aspect in a universe where everything wants to murder you, but they're like almost Lovecraftian monsters floating around in this universe, which is another reason why I love it. So it takes things from bits and pieces of everything that I love and throws it into one shitstorm of a game, and it's so satisfying when you actually complete a mission in it, because it is unforgiving to a Souls difficulty without you wanting to slit your throat. So it's just the perfect amalgamation of everything. And that being said, Dead Island 2 was possibly the most disappointing game I played this year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have not heard great things about that, but I have heard good things about Armored Core 6. Did anyone play that?
No.
I tried, and I love it, but it's Souls robots, and I'm like I can't.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ghost Runner 2.
I just figured I'd bring it up.
Ghost Runner 2 is really good. It's more of what I played on stream during the pandemic, but it added a bike mechanic, which was cool, but I feel like it kind of fucked the game in a way. And Hi-Fi Rush is also really good. Obviously.
Yeah, we've mentioned that. I think I'll just give my vote to Hi-Fi Rush as like the game I played and also one I really enjoyed. So I think that's just gonna be my vote for this.
I'm more than likely going to get Remnant 2 on Steam some point just so I can stream it, playing it on. But yeah. Most anticipated game, I guess, is
Okay.
one we should probably talk about while we're talking about what we're predicting will come up, and then we'll talk about game of the year.
Yeah. Sounds good. So of these, I mean, there's some pretty good ones here. Like a
Everybody
Dragon,
knows what I'm
like
giving my vote to
it's
here.
really good.
Yeah, because not. No,
Final
I
Fantasy.
wonder. I wonder why that is. It couldn't possibly be in relation to one of your cats.
No, it's not Hades 2, believe it or not.
Oh,
It's Rebirth.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say we were just talking about Final Fantasy. So,
All right, fair
and
enough.
all of that remix.
Yeah, I'm quite
Yeah,
curious
that
about
one's
that one as well.
probably mine too. It's like Hades 2, like fine, but it's probably gonna be more Hades.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I love Hades. It is one of my favorite games from the last couple of years. My best friend and I were beating our heads against the wall trying to figure out like the best builds. And I finally found something that
I wasn't very good at that game. I tried it. It's fun, but I'm just too bad to really make much progress. I'll probably give it another shot later, just when I have the energy.
But like the remake universe for Final Fantasy VII is so fucking unpredictable. You know, like everything changes, but it somehow stays the same. But also, like, everything diverges, and the way no more. I have this love-hate relationship with Tetsuya Nomura as a Kingdom Hearts fan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all Kingdom Hearts fans do.
And it's even more so now with the fucking remake universe for Final Fantasy VII. Like, I want Kingdom Hearts 4, my guy, but I also want this. But please, for the love of Christ, stop making it feel like an acid trip every time you write something. Because I only have so many.
And he's like, no, do you know how much I get paid specifically to do that? Man. But yeah, I mean, I do like how they really took a fun direction with the remake. I think that's one thing I appreciate about the Seven's remake. I guess what I don't appreciate is like it also makes it kind of hard for like newcomers like myself to really get into it. But I'm still like way well invested enough that I think it outweighs any confusion. It's like a solid game at its core. And yeah, and like I'm sure like a Dragon and Hades will also be fun, but like you said, I think Final Fantasy VII gets the vote here just for being like the most potential to be insane. And also Star Wars Outlaws I've heard mixed things about in terms of what it's gonna be.
Oh yeah. Star Wars Outlaws seems interesting. It's just I've noticed the trend with Ubisoft. And I pointed this out with the blue avatar because we have to differentiate which avatar we're talking about because there's multiple.
Yeah,
avatar.
we do.
Is it just me or is the avatar game just fucking Far Cry?
It is basically just Far Cry with Avatar. And I mean, it's like we said in our Discord chat, it's likely still going to make crazy amounts of money from the IPO name alone. Because that's exactly what the movies did.
Well, to be fair, with Outlaws, it does look like they're doing something completely different. Like it's not generally focusing on the Jedi so much, because it's set in a period where
I'll give it that.
Where there's not many Jedi around.
I also feel like, I don't know, with Star Wars, I mean, maybe it's just there's so much Star Wars content that it just makes it less exciting for me, or maybe it's just because I'm not sure how things will really fit together Star Wars wise anymore. Because like the Jedi being mostly gone is like a thing that even that has been kind of discussed a bit. And there's always just some like, oh, I'm the lone surviving Jedi, and or among the other lone surviving Jedi.
Yeah. See, I'm with Party James on this one. I love Star Wars, but like, I feel like this would have been more weighty if it was in a period where there wasn't any Star Wars content coming out. Like, look how successful Force Unleashed was back in the day, right? And that was because we were in a period of
that was the time.
Little to no Star Wars content. Now we have like the continuation of Clone Wars with the Bad Batch. We have Ahsoka. We have Mandalorian. We have all this shit going on in the Star Wars universe, and it's all kind of samey. Where like we're in this time where
Yeah.
there's not a lot of Jedi, but there's also somehow still 1,000 fucking Jedi floating around there apparently, which makes sense because like it was.
Yeah, and I guess in their defense, like, universes and galaxies are big enough that I guess
Right.
that's fine, but it
Right.
also kind of takes away the point.
Like it was never Order 66 was never going to work fully in an infinite universe where like Jedi have the ability to even hide their presence. Obviously, like look at Cal Kestis for example in the Jedi Survivor games, where like he just hid his fucking connection to the Force basically, and so did Sayre. So it makes sense. But at the same time, like, are we really not going to have any Jedi and Outlaws? Is it really just going to be all smugglers and bullshit and kind of like carrying on the legacy that would have been Star Wars 1313, which I would have rather had because it was like actual bounty hunters and you're playing as a Mandalorian, but now like to do just a Mandalorian would be like, why didn't you just make this about Din? Oh.
I mean, if they do follow up on that, good for them. And I think that's what they want. But I guess the other thing is it's like an Ubisoft open world game. I think that's the other thing. Because it's like if you played an Ubisoft open world game, you've played every Ubisoft open world game.
Rise in Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I'm still slogging through Ragnarok, guys. I'm still slogging through Ragnarok, and I hate my life. I love Assassin's Creed, but in no fucking need for 155,000 viewpoints and focus points and collectibles and, you know, forts to take over and all of the other random bullshit in a Ubisoft open world game. Like, do something different, please. That's why I'm fearful for Beyond Good and Evil 2, since it's supposed to be sort of open world, is it's just going to be a collectathon. Which leads me to...
Because, like, I think Ubisoft open world games are still, like, decent. It's just that they kind of, like, after you get over the initial excitement of, oh, this will be a cool open world game, it's like, this is just every open world game.
Yep. They started with Far Cry 3, with this formula, by the way. Is when it really got really apparent. Right. Obviously, like, they did, like, the viewpoints and everything in Assassin's Creed, but, like, it got really apparent when Far Cry, came out, like Far Cry 3. Avarice was able to join. Yay! I had to edit the voice.
Hey.
Too. But it got really apparent with Far Cry 3.
We're doing Game Awards talk.
When you were just, you know, climbing the radio tower, and then you were, you know, skinning the animals and creating, like, upgrades for your equipment, and then every game since then has followed that same fucking formula. But I guess, like, to add on to this, talking about, like, announcements, we kind of got, like, shadow drop that they were doing a Beyond Good and Evil 20th anniversary, which, you know, got released, leaked, and then pulled out of people's Ubisoft Connect accounts almost instantaneously.
Modern gaming is fun.
Ubisoft in particular is horrible at containing any excitement and any, you know, secrecy, because they have, like, I almost feel like they planned this bullshit at this point, because everything that they want to do is leaked, and then it drowns up hype, and then it becomes either, like, the greatest thing ever or disappointment 101. I played, like, before they pulled it from my account, like, 10-15 minutes of the Beyond Good and Evil. I guess it's a developer's build. It's fun. It's Beyond Good and Evil. It feels basically the same, but with, like, refresh graphics.
That sounds right.
You know, so that'll be nice to drum up hype for number 2 if it ever fucking comes out, because I think it's been like 15 years.
I do think, like, what aged worse with Beyond Good and Evil is just the way it looks. Because it just looks so freaking ugly by tonight's standards.
But, like, so do most of the games that were in Rear Replay for, you know, defending that. As somebody
I mean, you're not wrong, but I'm also just saying. I think that's why, like, the remake trailer, like, when we first saw it, like, I don't even know how many years ago by this point, but it just looked so amazing that I'm like, yeah, I can play a game that looks like this.
Yeah, it's nice, and I feel like it's just solely to see if there's still any, like, hype around Beyond Good and Evil 2, since it's still in their developer, you know, catalog.
Development hell, yeah.
And obviously, like, we also got a release date announced of 2024 for Skull and Bones, another game that's been in dev hell for, Christ, what, 10 years as well, since Black Flag, actually, because it's ship mechanic from Black Flag, but a whole game around that. It was announced the same time as Sea of Thieves.
Oh,
You know, one of
jeez.
those games,
Sea of Thieves has been going on for like so long now.
one of those games actually came out and is somewhat successful.
Mhm.
And even had a Monkey Island tie-in because it's by the same studio, sort of, kind of.
Yep. But yeah, in terms of game announcements, since we're on that topic, I think Tyler was also talking about this. I might be wrong about that, so I'm sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth, Tyler. But like the next Dragon Quest 3 and the next Dragon Quest Mainline 12, like I really want to see something with that because it's been so long since we've heard anything, and I have no idea what else Team Asana could possibly be working on because they already have like Octopath out, and I don't think they're doing another Triangle strategy already. So unless they're doing like a Bravely Default remake or something, like they gotta be going back to that Dragon Quest 3 remake.
Probably.
Oh, that was.
I would.
Try that
Are you
again.
good?
What? Something going on?
You were.
Oh, you had
crackling
like a
there
weird
for-
feedback for a second. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, but oh, good.
Uh, I wouldn't mind even like getting a Dragon Quest 12 because like how long has it been since Dragon Quest 11?
It's been a good number of years. I'm just gonna Google it, but yeah, like they already announced that 12's in development, but we don't. All we know is it's in development and like a logo. Dragon Quest 11 came out
2019. I believe?
2020, 2017,
Jesus, it's older than I thought.
2017. Yeah, it was like one of the first games that was like shown off for like at that time codenamed NX, which is now the Switch. So it's like it's been around as long as the Switch has. I mean, it came on the Switch later for weird reasons, but it is just that old. So if it's about time for Nintendo to release a new hardware, it's about time we get Dragon Quest 12, or at least not, maybe not like immediately next year, but just like a trailer. That would be nice. I would like a trailer.
Yeah, no,
I actually I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would like the trailer at the very least, right?
Yeah, because Level 5 gave me all their trailers for the next couple of games they're making. So now I need like Square Enix to show me what they got.
I actually remember I played just a little semi on topic anecdote. I actually borrowed Dragon Quest 11 from my brother for a time.
Huh.
I didn't make a significant progress in it, but it was pretty fun. I'm planning to pick it up for myself and go through it again.
Okay, so it
But
might have been someone else who I was talking to about Dragon Quest 3 because I know there was somebody else I was talking to who was like, "Where is Dragon Quest 3 been?" And I'm like,
I
"Yeah,
think we talked about
Or
it.
has
in
yeah,
the
it?
that
gaming
wasn't
video.
me, but hey,
sorry
I
about
can
that."
never
Then
tell
I'm
you
probably
talking.
confusing you with someone."
No worries. I'm kind of like sort of holding out hope, maybe like a new Ace Attorney because like we've been getting like a lot of Ace Attorney content recently. Like we've had just while we were recording this video, a trailer was shown for uh the second Ace Attorney trilogy coming to PS4, and I'm pretty sure it's already on Switch.
PS4 is still getting games.
Yeah, they're keeping they're keeping that sucker alive.
I'm
Look,
looking.
if the Nintendo Wii could get games up until 2020, I'm sure the PS4 can still go.
I'm literally looking over.
I sold my PS4 to one of my buddies for like $200.
Also, as well, I've got to do a little bit of a rant here. It's like, okay, internet, make up your mind about which system requirements are correct.
What are you talking about, man?
Because I was looking at the system requirements for Jedi Survivor. On one website it says your computer does not meet the minimum requirements, but on another website it says no, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, are you getting
so-
it through Steam? Like, Steam should tell you, right?
Yeah.
Is it through Steam or is it through like EA's? Like
It's through
whatever
like it was through like System Requirements Lab that was like, nope, you don't meet the minimum
Don't
requirement.
trust any of that bullshit. Just go off of Steam.
Yeah, it is through Steam, right? If it's through Steam, just look at their specs.
So like,
And Steam will literally look at your specs
you
too.
should be able
Like
to
you
run,
can just go to System.
knowing your specs, because I've helped you before. Like, you should be able to run at least, maybe high.
Yeah, because it's like it says the graphics card GTX 107, and I have like an RTX 260, so it's like, yeah, I should be able to run it.
Oh yeah. If you got an RTX in there, likely going. Forgot what GPU you had, but no, like can I be delusional for like 5 seconds here? Bloober hasn't done anything, or not Bloober, but Bluepoint hasn't done anything since the Demon Souls, right? I feel like it's time for them to do a new remake, and I want that to be Legend of Dragoon. The time is now. Give me a Legend of Dragoon remake. The remaster port thing that they did for PS Plus did phenomenally well. So I feel like it is perfect time to actually overhaul that for modern generations. God, I forgot how much of a grind that was. It's time to make it for a modern audience, and then please give us the sequel that was supposedly in development for a while and then got canned when Sony Japan went under. That's all I want. I want a modern version of Legend of Dragoon. And I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone, because there was literally a petition for like a remaster or remake before they ported it to like the PlayStation Classics, and a little trophy update for it. It got like a lot of traction on like Tumblr back in the day, and I'm really aging myself, aren't I?
Yeah, but should we go on to like Game of the Year? Cap off this discussion.
Yeah.
Discourse
But
time.
before I do that, I'm gonna say best performance for me. Just by default, Cameron Morgana for Jedi Survivor. That would be my pick.
Yuri
I
Lowenthal,
really don't.
Peter Parker.
All right. But yeah, Game of the Year. Like, you know what I'm gonna be picking? Resident Evil
What?
4.
Again,
Baldur's Gate 3.
I'm not sure about picking like a remake for
I
the
think,
top game, but
well,
it is like a good game though.
Here's why I feel like for my opinion, it deserves Game of the Year, because you know how you have some games who are just like, we're gonna remake it, but it's gonna be exactly the same as it was in the original, just with updated graphics. Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's a bad example, but okay.
With Resident Evil 4, what they do is like, okay, what do people like about the original game? Well, they like the atmosphere, they like the combat, they like how simple the story is. Okay, let's go with that. What don't they like about the game? Well, the quick time events, the fact that Lewis is just kind of there and Ashley is annoying. Okay, we're gonna fix all of them.
They really did overhaul.
Yeah, because Lewis in the original Resident Evil 4, he's just kind of like, oh, I'm going to show up. Okay, bye. Oh, I'll show up again. Oh, bye. Oh, I'll show up again. Oh, I'm dead. And then after that, you do not hear about him ever again in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't meant to be an important character. Like Lewis became a really interesting side character and a fan favorite, but at the same time, like, it really it turned into like a cult classic movie, right? Like, you get the characters that nobody thinks they're going to like, and they come in and they become like fan favorites. Like Hobbs and Shaw, for example, and the Fast and the Furious series were never meant to be like really big characters, but they became fan favorites, so they got their own spinoff, and then The Rock became power hungry and franchise and kind of got voted out and then brought back, and then now he's in the finale for that. But like, it's one of those fucking things where I'm just shocked. how it's still like really one of those games that I really don't feel like it should be in that kind of content though. Like it's not a new game, still not anything special in that regard. Even if it's overhauling it, like I really wish they would do like a remake category, like Party James was saying.
Yeah, and I mean, like, my argument isn't that Resident Evil 4 isn't good or even like a great example of how to do a remake or remaster, whatever you want to call it. But it's more like an incredible game like Resident Evil 4, then just being improved upon in a modern sense, is just going to have like a much easier time than a game that's been ground built up. It's almost like unfair, is kind of what I'm saying, rather than it doesn't deserve like to be recognized as a good game that came out this year. And it also, I feel like Game of the Year also represents like the best of the year. And while I guess you could argue that a game that's potentially been remade, like if it was an obscure game made a long time ago, but it's completely different than how it was, then that's one thing. But if it's a game that came out like at one point in time and it's just like coming back to the public consciousness, it still feels like a game from back then that's just been renewed rather than like a new experience that represents like this is the game of that defines the year.
Right.
And I think also with so many incredible games this year, getting like a game that was from before this time almost does a little bit of disservice to like the contenders we had. But then that's just my take. Luke's and anyone else is more than entitled to vote for it. But I feel like if Resident Evil 4 does win, it's going to be probably the most controversial of this list. Like even if like I feel like a Nintendo game wins, I think if Resident Evil 4 would probably still cause more controversy.
Yeah, I voted
Honestly,
for Baldur's
I'd be more than happy if Tears of the Kingdom wins at least. Like, cause from what I've heard, that game is just like goes above and beyond.
Yeah,
At least from what I've heard.
It definitely polishes on what Breath of the Wild did, and it's deserving of the nomination in my opinion. Even if I'm not a fan of that direction in particular for Zelda, it's very, very. All of these games, other than Resident Evil, I feel like deserve this nomination. Because they're not a cult classic make of a game everybody is already very fond of. I would have liked to have seen even fucking Hi-Fi Rush in here. I would have liked to have seen Octopath in here. I would have liked to have seen a lot.
Yeah, Octopath was never gonna make this category. None of it.
No, but like those would be more
But
deserving.
I would have liked to see like one of those RPGs have like made this list.
But it's going to go to
Personally,
fucking.
But at least Baldur's Gate did, so I'll give it that. And I think that if of these games, I would probably give it to Baldur's Gate because we had this discussion before. It feels like that game, like really represents this year. I mean, Spider-Man, I think, is like the next big contender, for it. But
feel like
yeah,
if Zelda
I think
came out
Baldur's Gate, I've
later-
heard just much more.
Yeah, if Zelda came out later, it might have been or in the running for this, in my opinion, because it's kind of removed from the customer consciousness and like the like brain of everybody, other than like the diehard fans. But now it's stacked with like end of the year releases: Super Mario Brothers, Spider-Man, Alan Wake, Baldur's Gate. I also do kind of feel like Baldur's Gate might be kind of cheating in a sense here because it was in early access for a very long time as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair. But I feel like it also just wasn't as played until recently. So I think it's still
exactly
a
like,
fair
yeah.
candidate.
Like I almost feel like there should be like a early access category as well because there are a lot of promising games early access right now. There's a lot of dog
I mean, I
shit
think
in
that's
there.
also fair, but I also I think one of the reasons I would be a little against that, just on principle, is I just don't. Except for with a few exceptions, I will say, but generally, I don't buy early access games because it's like I don't want to buy the unfinished product. I wanted to buy the complete game.
Yeah,
But for some games that I feel like are like about to be finished, and it's like I'll buy it early access just because I'll get a better deal for when it's finished. But outside of that,
Yeah,
I
you
just
have,
don't buy early access
for
games.
every Baldur's Gate 3, you have Long Dark. Anybody heard of
Yeah.
that one?
I think so, but I haven't played it.
It's a game that has been delisted from Steam Access for like multiple times for varying reasons, and like copying and pasting a Black Ops trailer with its own skin on top of it. It's mired in controversy. Uh, so I am genuinely going to be shocked if it actually releases competent state and not copyright infringement hell. Um, I'll be there for the memes. That's about it. I don't feel like that developers really created a lot of good faith in this community though. Um, almost like abandoned the Silent Hill S game that was being made. That was like not a real thing. Had a whole fucking PlayStation page. But like that's just why I'm kind of like also against having a early access, because there's a lot of shovelware that will never see the light of day, that people just want to siphon funds and then build what they actually want to build in that category of games. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, like I kind of understand like state of the industry right now. Like you gotta play it safe to make what you actually want to make down the road. But that's a whole other fucking topic for a whole other video, I feel like.
Yeah.
So yeah, Baldur's Gate for me, Resident Evil for Luke, Baldur's Gate for you two, Party Jams.
Yeah, I think of these, I would probably give it to Baldur's Gate. I mean, it's either that or maybe Mario Wonder, but also I don't think I wanted to vote on Mario over Baldur's Gate. I'm just gonna be real. Like, yeah.
Tyler,
I mean, I did it for like I think art or like some direction, but other than that, but that's a different beast. I think as a overall game, I also think it's just because I enjoy like D&D style stuff. And I guess you can plug in our D&D stuff
yeah,
that's
that'll be
coming up.
starting in the new year. If you made it this far in a 2 hours 41.
Oh, jeez.
So you were saying about short Party Jams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wrong. I
Do
was so wrong.
do not say that word.
Every time we say this video is gonna be short, it's always a longer video. But like that's something that we're gonna be doing in the new year. It's gonna be chaotic as hell. First time players, a DM who popped in and I think was going to speak and then kind of didn't want to derail the conversation was going in. But like there's a lot of possibilities in that game. But Tyler, you were saying Zelda for you?
I said I wouldn't mind Zelda winning, but I'm voting for Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Predictable for me, but like I feel like Spider-Man 2 does what a sequel does best, and then some.
That's very fair.
Like,
Yeah,
I like
and
every
I think
sequel.
that's a fair statement too. I mean, Spider-Man's definitely a worthy contender of this. I guess it's just that for me, and maybe it's just because I've played a lot of sequel games. Like even a good sequel is still just like more of the same. And if you like enjoy what you played, it's gonna be good. But it's also like if a sequel doesn't do that, it's a bad sequel.
Exactly.
So I think Spider-Man 2 is definitely a good game. So yeah. I guess it also is just exactly what I expected from it, which is just like a stupid thing to say, but it's like, good job meeting my expectations.
Well, I mean, given that there's been a lot of shitty sequels in recent history, kind of hard to really judge that in a way.
I guess that's also a fair point.
Like,
Yeah.
we live in an era.
I mean, but I think it also says like how quality these games are that I have to be like, okay, well, Resident Evil 4 is just like an iconic game that did a great remake, but I can't vote for it. It's like, yeah, because like everything this year has been like, well, not everything, but a lot of good things.
I was gonna say we
have
are
come
in
out
an
this year.
era where there's a $70 map pack out,
Yeah.
and with that,
So,
peace.
Peace.